Arena and all of our Series E partners. My contestant will set one aside at the beginning of the game. We will then go through multiple rounds, opening crates and eliminating prizes off the board. At the end of each round, I will have a deal for my contestant. They can either take the deal or elect to steal and keep playing the game. At the end of all 3 rounds, if they have not accepted any of my deals, we will crack open the crate that they set aside at the beginning and they will win what is inside. If that makes sense to all of you, and if you want to help, please jump in Twitch chat. Let them know what crates that they should be opening. But let's welcome in my guest today, the newest member of the NRG Apex roster. We've got Gildersins joining me on the show today to play some Deal or Steal. Gildersins, how we doing, my man? How's it going today?
I'm doing great, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you here on at the end of the season. Of course, you know, all the folks at home, they know well what NRG Apex brings to the table. Y'all been killing it lately. Let's see if maybe some of those skills can transfer here into Deal or Steal. I've got 20 crates on the board, my friend. What's that lucky number that you want to set aside at the start?
All right. I'm going to say 17.
17. Okay, cool. Bottom left-hand corner. We're going to set that one aside for you. We'll keep it safe till the end of the game. Round number 1, we've got to open 9 crates this round. We'll see what's inside. We'll cross some prizes off the board, so let's start them off one by one.
Okay. Wait, so what am I looking at here?
Just give me, I need to know a crate number. We're going to open it, and we're going to cross the prize that's inside off the board. And we got to do 9 this round.
I'm going to say 4.
Number 4. Cool. We'll go to that opposite corner up at the top right. Let's see if we can start in those white tier prizes. This is it's the Vizio 55-inch UHD TV. That one stings. That is, I think, twice in the last 3 times we've played Deal or Steal that somebody has found the Vizio TV right off the bat. That is unfortunate.
Right, I'm going to say... Can I just name another one, 1 through 20?
Yeah.
6.
Number 6. Okay, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We need some better luck with crate number 6. Inside that, we've got 2,150 Apex coins. Okay, we're getting better here, Gildersins. What's next?
That's 30. All right, I'm going to go with 13.
Okay, lucky number 13. Let's see if this one pays off. Hopefully a white tier prize inside there. We've got it. It's the Mike and Ike Mega Mix. Okay.
20.
Number 20. We'll keep it rolling fast. Down to that bottom right-hand corner. Crate number 20 has got the Tyson t-shirt. That's a couple of white tier prizes in a row. We're getting better here, Gildersins.
All right. 2.
Number 2. Back to that top row. Number 4 bit you earlier. Hopefully number 2 doesn't do the same. It is a Series E jersey of your choice. That's fine. I think you'd rather rock the NRG drip, and I completely understand. I think 4 more to go this round.
All right, let's go with 16.
Number 16. Okay. Back down to row number 4. 13 was a good look. Let's see if 16 can do the same. It can. The Intel jacket hiding there inside of crate 16.
9.
Number 9, okay. Back to the single digits. That untouched third row. Inside of crate number 9, we've got the Nerf Elite Blaster in there, the Elite 2.0. 2 more to go, Guild.
All right, let's go with 7.
Number 7, okay. Hoping for some more white tier prizes here inside of crate number 7. It's the $50 Walmart gift card inside of there. Okay. Last one of the round. We need a good pull here.
Let's get rid of 1.
Number 1. Okay, we're painting the corners here. In round 1, can number 1 pay off here? 2,150 Apex coins. Okay. So, a rough start to be sure, but I think you settled in and you really hit that top half of the board really well. I have to commend you there. So I've actually got a fairly solid prize for you here right off the start. I'm not sure how your heirloom collection is looking. I know we just got the Loba heirloom coming out. I'd like to maybe help you complete that collection. I got 6,700 Apex coins for you, Gildersins. There's still, to be clear, $50 Walmart gift card, a couple of Razer headsets as well, an Esports Arena mystery box. Are you feeling the Apex coins, or do you think Steel? Do you want to keep playing the game?
Honestly, the Apex coins are sounding like a sturdy offer right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, you started slow, but you really finished strong there. I had to give you something.
I think I'm gonna go with the Apex coins. I gotta get the
He's just getting out of here, yeah? Okay, hey, that is a well-played round, Gildersins, and I don't blame you for taking the deal. We'll send some Apex coins your way soon. Before I let you go, I appreciate you coming to play with me today. I do have to take the opportunity to ask, you guys have been crushing it as of late. You won 3 Pro Nights in a row prior to last week. You've won back-to-back oversight competitions the last couple of Thursdays. Of course, you're the newest member of the roster. Why are things going so well for you guys right now? Why have you guys as a roster clicked so quickly?
I mean, overall, I think that there's just a lot of passion with the squad, and I also think that it's like, you know, there's no like egos on the squad. Like, everybody is like here to get better, and everybody admits when they're making mistakes, and I think it's just like a really good environment to grow in and get better, and I think that's why I've been doing so well.
Hey, it's looked great. I mean, you guys are certainly my early favorites for Split 1 of Pro League, which, you know, I mean, hey, you look at the history of NRG Apex, that shouldn't be a huge surprise, but you guys have definitely been killing it. I love to see that you have fit in so well with the roster so quickly, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all play tonight, as well as, you know, during the entirety of Year 3. So, Gildersins, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the Apex coins. I will keep my fingers crossed for some heirloom shards hiding in some of those crates, and I wish you the best of luck, my friend.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
All right, that is Gildersins of NRG Apex in the quickest game of Deal or Steal. It is so rare. I don't know that I've ever had a player take my first deal in the game, but I had to give him something good because he absolutely, you know, despite the Vizio TV coming up early, absolutely crushed that first round otherwise. So hats off to Gildersins there, and I know he's going to enjoy those Apex coins. That is going to do it for Deal or Steal. Of course, we can turn our attention to tonight's competition really fast before we hand it off to our casters. I have to pull up our cumulative standings here for this season because this is going to shape all of the storylines here for tonight's competition. I already mentioned earlier, Nerf and Excedrin, they're battling for first place. 19 points separate those two teams. The other big battle, and possibly the more important one, is down at 4th place. Intel holding on to 4th place right now with a 10-point lead over Mike and Ike, but that is a smaller lead than they held yesterday. I believe it was 17 points going into last night's competition. Mike and Ike were able to close that gap just a little bit. Those are the 2 most important races on the leaderboard here tonight. Those 4 teams will be playing hopefully some of the best Apex they've played all season long to fight for 1st and for 4th place. So make sure to keep an eye on those teams. We will be revisiting those cumulative standings all throughout the night because so much is at stake for all of those squads. It's going to be a hell of a night of competition here. Cannot wait to see it. All the best pros from all across North America coming out to compete with our partnered squads. It's going to be an absolute banger. My good friends Dia and T-Squared will have all the action for you all throughout tonight's 6 games. And I'll be here to break things down in between. It's going to be a hell of a finale here for Season 5 of Series E Apex Legends, and I'm not going to waste any further time. Let's kick off the fun.
You are the...
Hey, welcome everybody.
Series E Apex Legends.
All of World's Edge explodes into chaos, and G2 around the corner, taking what is rightfully there.
War with our Ash player Musin follows, and it's going to quickly switch the Peacekeeper, putting down damage quick as
that Fury starts it off with the devotion, and does so much work, may have single-handedly clutched it for Vizio, and with the last shotgun shot, does it.
Let's get the games underway, man. I'm ready to go.
Welcome
67.
back.
Oh, okay. Oh, we didn't discuss this. Go ahead, Dia. You got this. You got this.
I was going to say, welcome back, folks. And there's no better way to really summarize our feelings about this season than the fact that we're both so excited to jump in at the same time. It's the final day of Series E in Season 5. Tom, go. Give me your thoughts on it, since I know you have them.
6,700 Apex coins. That's my thoughts. You know, like Gildersins wants to get his mental right. You know, he's like, all right, I didn't get the TV. Dealer Seal will break you, man. It'll definitely send you down that negative spiral if you don't get the deal or the steal that you're looking for. But no, seriously, I'm excited to get this day underway. And we were just talking about how close that is with Mike and Ike and Intel. And it couldn't be even, you know, it can't really be closer the way that they fought all season long. Intel with a big win in their final game on open night last night. Otherwise, they would be kind of tied or maybe even down right now. So every game's going to matter. You're going to have our pro players coming in here putting up a huge fight. And the open teams yesterday put up a great fight as well. We saw a lot of great talent coming through. We got qualifiers coming up next month. But let's get into this because I want to see who is going to be going and taking that first place spot and who is qualifying for Season 6.
Now, if you haven't had the chance to tune into some of our Series E before, this is how it's going to work, of course. You've tuned in on the best night possible, but placement points are going to be the same as always, mirroring the ALGS format with 12 points for first and 1 point per kill. So kills, often enough, are the thing that the meta has been revolving around recently, Tom, and it's the thing that I'm expecting those 10 points between Mike and Ike and Intel to be made up of.
Exactly. And I think that you have to watch out for what the compositions are going to be too. Are they going to continue to play a little bit more aggressive with the Seer? Are they going to slow things down? Are they going to go Watson? Are they going to go Newcastle? Let's take a look at the rosters to find out who is going to be going up against our partner squads. You got TSM in there. You got Tripods, who is dealing with a lot of 50-50s. They're going up against ESA over towards Landslide. I'm curious to see if Nick Merckx took my tweet seriously and if they're going to consider going on over towards Skyhook, because Skyhook is completely open. I mean, you got 100 Thieves over there, but Liquid isn't in this lobby. And fighting in Skyhook, Dia, seems a little bit more safe than fighting in Landslide. Landslide is just such a tough spot. One, you're going to get third-partied. Two, the loot isn't very good. And three, with Skyhook, you could maybe set up in a building, force them to come to you, do a lot of different angles. So we'll see exactly how they're going to go forward with everything. You got NRG. We just saw Gildersins with Dealer Steel. G2 with that new roster with Chaotic coming in there. Excited to see how they're going to do. Bronzy on first attempt. Complexities coming through here. Renegades has been playing solid. SAS Snipe Down's back in here playing with Albrelli and Naughty. It's going to be an exciting day.
Ooh, lordy, it really is. I'm going to keep my eyes on SAS and first attempt, since we talked about the fact that these two change-ups are a little newer. SAS specifically, you know, I want to see how Snipe Down's doing when he gets back into the game, and maybe if he's got some rivalry with the TSM squad that were going off last week. That's one of our pro teams that everybody, and I, am going to be keeping our eyes on because of the way that their game plan has changed in the past couple of weeks. They've become a much more fluid team, and last week there was a sort of rivalry between them and NRG that we're going to get to see play out for the final time tonight.
I'm scrolling through Snipe Down's Twitter to see if I got any info on him going back to Apex or if he's just coming in and playing for funsies. It doesn't really say anything. I mean, it says that he's considered professional Halo player for FaZe Clan. I don't see anything about Apex in there. He's still looking as swaggerific as always. So I don't know. Snipe Down's keeping us kind of guessing over here, which is going to be fun to see him kind of return because the dude's always had a ton of talent, just like you were talking about. Teams we didn't talk about. OXG, Cubsky, Protectful, and Casellos. That's a team that continues to kind of find their own play style. They've been switching a lot of their legend compositions up a lot. In terms of the partner teams, let's set the stage again. If you're just joining us, welcome. It's the best night, just like Dia was saying, because of this cumulative leaderboard. Now, it's going to be your top 4 teams that make it. Mathematically, Razor looks like they're going to be having to go through that relegation process, unfortunately. However, they did play pretty good yesterday, Dia, and if they continue to play like that, there's no reason they couldn't make it back in. But it's all about Tyson and Mike and Ike trying to catch up to Intel and Nerf trying to hold off Excedrin. Nerf was able to take over the lead yesterday.
One of the things that I am really keeping my eyes on is how well partnered squads are going to do in relation to each other in these games. Because I feel like even when you're talking about Razor just yesterday, these partner squads have come up together in a really big way, and where I think there was a big disparity between Razor and Nerf, or Razor and Excedrin during the start of the season, that gap has closed as all of the partnered squads have improved together. So a lot less points should be going to each individual team as we progress further in these games.
Exactly. And we did see Mike and I continue to rise their stock, and a lot of that has happened on the pro nights. They've kind of weathered that storm in terms of being able to say, hey, a lot of these points are accumulated on the open night. That's when you can really have your pop-off moments. They are playing just as good on these open nights as they are on the pro nights, which is really key for them going forward. So keep an eye on them. I think that they have what it takes to take over Team Intel, but Intel showed a lot yesterday with their win, and they are going through the same process that Mike and I did because they joined a little bit late in Series E. They took over a roster that had some changes, and they've continued to kind of improve week by week, and I've seen them improve. It's been amazing to go and see. So based on what we saw yesterday, I think this is going to come down just to a couple kills, a couple of points, maybe a couple of placements. It's going to be that final game, Dia. It's going to come down to that final 6 game on Stormpoint. We have 3 games on World's Edge, 3 games on Stormpoint. We also have the Fantasy League, so let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit because you could pick your top 3 players. Dia, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you're going to compose a tweet and then comment on the squad on twitter.com/esportsarena before we make it to halftime. There's an important thing to note here, and that is that if you've missed some of the Fantasy League throughout the season, you've got the chance to make it up because tonight's points are going to be doubled. So we've got a lot of strong players today. Compose the best 3 players from those. Tweet them at us at twitter.com/esportsarena, and we'll make sure that you get your fantasy points sorted out. There's also prizing, of course, for this, provided by our CEO, Tyler, to make things even more spicy and exciting.
Yeah, speaking of CEO Tyler, let's go ahead and take a look at this tweet that he put out earlier because this is, production's already on top of it. Look at this. $100 to fantasy winners. We got an extra 50 tonight. Throw all the rest out. 363,000 in salary, 128K in prizing, 135K to talent, 228 to pro orgs. I mean, it's all about that fantasy, man. $50 is coming through tonight. That could be in your pocket. So make sure that you come through and get involved in that. Also, since Series E began, ALGS NA streaming numbers increased from an average of 925 to a new average of 1.2. That's a 30% increase in such a small amount of time. Third-party NA events grew as well. A whopping 1.5 million in prizes and multiple orgs coming through. Whoever knew that this guy knew so much about Apex? I thought he was just a talking head that looks good all the time. I'm just kidding, Tyler. No, this has been something that we've been bringing up for a while now, so I appreciate everyone that's been involved. Shout out to everybody at Esports Arena. Shout out to everybody that's been watching in the beginning. Shout out to all the new viewers as well. It's been absolutely awesome. There was times where people were saying, the prize money is not enough, or this isn't enough, or that's not enough, or why are they playing under, sponsored teams, or why can't they have, their own names? It's an infrastructure. It's an incubator league. There's a lot of work that's gone into this. I've been in esports for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. It's one of the best things to happen to, I wouldn't even call it like a tier 2 type thing because there's not a lot of space. If you're an up-and-coming pro player, the hardest thing that you're dealing with is team changes, and you're going to have to go through all these roster shuffles. You find it hard to make it into scrims. You kind of get gatekept by everybody else that's been signed to organizations, and you struggle to find your way in there, and the rich just continue to get richer, and the people that don't have voices end up kind of getting lost in the sauce. And Esports Arena and Series E have provided that foundation for players like players on Team Nerf, players on Team Intel, players that are signed to the Esports Arena squad. Look at Team Esports Arena that was Team Intel originally, that now was signed to Optic Gaming. All that stuff is made possible by their hard work that they've done through Series E. So,
yeah, what both you and Tyler have done an excellent job of highlighting is what Series E and Esports Arena have been able to do for the players. And now, I dare say, T-Squared, we get to see what the players can do for us tonight because we are dropping into our very first game of the day, of the final day of Series E Season 5. And Nerf, already, are going to be hitting up that Fragon right next door to TSM. We'll see where and when action breaks out for our very first debut on World's Edge today.
I want to see some 50-50s. We're on board with Nerf. I want to see what Tripods is doing because that 50-50 over at Landslide is huge, and I need to know where they're landing. They're going over towards Skyhook.
Oh my God, they
looked at
listened.
my tweet. They looked at my tweet. Let's go. They're taking the back of Skyhook. They're going to split up here. 100 Thieves said that they're going to go and chase them, and now they have loot to go and deal with. I am so excited to see this happen. Let's go, Team Tripods.
It's just such a good move because third parties are also so much more infrequent. So even if you are 50-50ing, you're likely going to get away with a lot. And looking at the positioning of 100 Thieves, they don't seem too intent on actually collapsing on one member because the zone is so nearby. We've already got that second scan, and it's pulling right on top of NRG at staging. An excellent pull for them as well, and something that'll push teams like Intel, who are landing far away from the zone, to have to boogie it all the way through Lava Siphon and the choke points by Harvester.
This is so important to call out because look at this 100 Thieves matchup that's going to be happening. Now, you're going to have part of Sentinels taking over where this train station is, and you may have 100 Thieves go and charge where they're at because Gentrifying went and took trials all by themselves. So you go from a team that couldn't get a point last week because you decided you wanted to go landslide over and over again to getting an entire POI like trials to yourself, plus getting a little bit of Skyhook. And I know that 100 Thieves was saying, all right, we may go and push this, and it was even members of Liquid, I believe, that said, hey, we're going to go and push this. You know what? We'll see, because people could say that and tweet that, but will they actually do it in a tournament scenario with money on the line? You got to have respect for Tripods. I know that they're kind of new to competitive and they're a newer team. They're not on a major org like Liquid or 100 Thieves, but they deserve respect. There's a reason that they're here, and they're grinding as a team every single day in rank. So I'm super excited to follow this team and continue their path on what they do. And the first spot that you need to do, the first checklist that you need to do, is find a spot to land. And it's nice to see them find that and go and execute a strategy that is very sound because there's just so much loot over here. Like you said, Dia, the zone is pulling over here. And these are the zones that you're going to see Apex at its best because there's going to be so much coexisting inside of these buildings next to each other that you're going to have maybe 10 teams in round 5.
Yeah, Skyhook's actually a really smart rotation for a lot of squads that might be arriving to ring late that might be coming from Climatizer because so many teams can work together and you might have access to that replicator that's sitting right over in front of 100 Thieves right now. I believe they're going to make use of it. Since they've got the Seer to make sure that everything's safe, you get so many more additional resources that'll help keep you topped up in the end game, especially when right now we know 100 Thieves are sitting on triple blues.
And you want to watch out for this guy with the 30-30. He's absolutely ridiculous. Vaxon's going and checking around to see if they can find exactly where these players have located. If we could take a look at the map again one more time to find out where the rotation is. Actually, we don't even have time for that because there is a push coming in over towards multiple sides. You have Complexity looking at third party over towards this landslide area, and I don't think Tyson realizes that they're behind them.
No, taking one engagement long range has opened things up for Complexity, and now, with one down already, Tyson are likely running for the hills. Up on top, Lux should be able to find some additional knocks. A nice shot with the Sentinel. Hasn't found one just yet, but Shiny has already cleaned up their additional kill as yet another Sentinel shot lands, and Lux ends up picking up one more knock onto Z Davis. Tyson is already crumbling around us, and our 6th place team of the partnered squads is falling further behind.
And Intel's already down 2 players right here. You have Boat coming in, and he's going to get double knocks onto Team Intel. This is Mike and Ike going after the team that they need to hunt down in 4th place to take over their spot. Big time plays from Mike and Ike.
Right now, just chasing down that last member, you've already got the Seer. While Scan won't land, there's still so much data provided by Wizard Coin, one of the biggest mid-season pickups of Series E, to be able to finish off this squad to ensure a 0-point game for Intel. This game alone could turn the tables and could push Mike and Ike to those 10 points above.
Now it's just Icy alive. The zone's starting to take him away. He does have some shields, but it's all 3 players coming in. And, oh, big PK shot there, but that's all she wrote. Mike and Ike going to eliminate Team Intel. And the thing is I don't believe they know that's Team Intel until the very end, right? They may have a feeling of where they're landing, et cetera, et cetera. Heck, that could have been a play just to push them straight up in a 3v3, Dia, and say, let's go after them. Big zone pull, though. It goes away from Skyhook, continues to go over towards the southern side, keeping track of tripods. They've moved away from 100 Thieves now, and 100 Thieves is going to rotate in behind them.
And we spoke earlier at the very beginning of the game about how Intel were going to be taxed moving into the zone, and now I find myself wondering, T-Squared, if they're going to have to change POIs, because if Mike and Ike are doing to them that to them on repeat, things are going to get real difficult. If you want to actually maintain your spot going into next season, into Season 6 of Series E. We did speak about this zone earlier, though, and mentioned that NRG were at the center of it. They do love to play this high ground, the Dorito building right behind Gildersins when things get tight, so I'd expect them to be able to last at least until those top 5 squads from here.
Changing up their spot, I don't know if it's a little bit late for that, honestly. Now that they've already landed in one particular zone, I think that they need to raise their awareness in terms of being ready for that fight to take place and kind of look forward to the fight, right? It's almost like you want to have them fight an arenas match for this final spot, right? But the strategy of the BR aspect of this is what it's all about. Now we're on board with NRG. Did see Gildersins in that dealer still taking the 6,700 Apex coins. And what I wouldn't give for 6,700 Apex coins, honestly. That I got my first heirloom, not gonna lie. Dia, I'm still stoked about this one. Let's hear, if you had to go with any heirloom right now, which one are you going with?
Oh, I really like Rampart's little wrench. I think that's really cute. I think that's a really cute heirloom. I play a lot of Rampart, so you know.
Hey, Rampart's kind of
like
tough to play. I'm not gonna lie. You gotta place those walls in the right spot. Got to know exactly when to take out Sheila. I tried Rampart a little bit, especially in conjunction with Newcastle, because you can use the Newcastle ultimate and the Rampart walls to kind of get some head glitches and some angles that you wouldn't typically get. But now we get an opportunity to see 100 Thieves in their playstyle, right? They wanted to make sure that tripods wasn't behind them at all. So now that they've realized that, they're going to slowly continue to move up. And if you are going to play the edge, you want to know that you're the only team on the actual edge here. And that's what they've been able to do. They've split up now, gone over towards the countdown side, possibly see some people over towards the Lava Fisher area. But it's time for Amu to get back on over towards his team. He's already scouted out a majority of the side on the west side. Now he's checking out this east side. No scans, and Vaxon does have this 30-30 as well. So double 30-30s coming in, a decent amount of long-range poke here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable with their spot now that they've managed to group up with Anmu, who's providing a lot of data and who doesn't have a lot of mobility. It couldn't have come at a better time either, because Sentinels are rocking up on this. This should be sniffed out. As TSM start lighting up the kill feed, we may get even more kills funneling in soon. Since Countdown, some shots have already started to be traded, and I'm not sure what 100 Thieves' game plan is from here. Do they take this fight or do they disengage?
Shout out to the people in the chat. We got some pretty knowledgeable people in here knowing that Sentinels has moved off Lava Siphon because TSM is over there. This is Sentinels coming through with their new rotations. The bubble is going to go down. The PK shots not connecting as much as they were hoping for. This has been 100 Thieves in this area for quite some time. Amu, the first player to go down. Remember, they had two 30-30s, so unless they have their automatic weapons ready, they're not going to be able to hold this type of fight. You can see longbow PK, so a lot of long range coming in for both of these teams. Not a lot of close range. Here comes a third party from Tripods and their opportunity to collapse.
It's the worst nightmare of 100 Thieves, although I will say, since they haven't gotten knocked initially, Sentinels are the ones that are largely suffering. 100 Thieves still resetting on the other side of this. Finally has them and Tripods crashing after such a long early game stagger. As Tripods try and push up, however, they are pushing into slight height, and now 100 Thieves have the opportunity to rotate back around. Deeds ends up catching just a little bit of damage.
Huge.
Even gets the knock onto Backslot, and now the delayed Skyhook fight has gone in Tripods' favor over here by Countdown. Let's see what Nick Merckx can do, as Scan does reveal his positioning, but they should be able to take this 2v3 no problem.
This is huge. Nick Merckx doesn't have his ultimate right here. He does know that the one player is down. They're going to push right past him and look for additional kills and big time plays from Tripods. Just right there, they've secured more points than they did last week. And I can't wait to see how they continue to grow, because once you get a little bit of momentum under your belt, this is what they kind of specialize in, right? That's why they're so good at ranked together. Small skirmishes just like that, understanding when to third party, etc. We never got a chance to even see what this team is necessarily made of, and now you're seeing they know how to brawl with the best of them. Not only that, continuing the hunt onto 100 Thieves. Dia, do you camp this banner? That's what I want to know. Do you sit around and just ruin a 100 Thieves game by sticking around.
I think right now you rotate, and looking at where 100 Thieves are rotating to and where they came from, they've got a lot more sustain and the opportunity to still use that replicator if they want even more. Unless you're pushing them hard, I'd rather just see Tripods get their way into zone, because it isn't about taking out 100 Thieves, it's about finding the win this game.
It is, but you know,
disagree.
I agree, but sometimes what you can do in an instance like this, fake like you have ran away, right? And I'm not quite sure. I believe it was the Seer that was taken down. So if they don't have an idea that you're still camping those banners, you wait to that very last second and then you kind of pounce on them, mainly just because the zone isn't that far from them. So if they need to get over towards the edge, they're going to be in a good spot. If the zone was super far, I'd say, you know what, get in, etc., etc. But what's so good about this team is Gentrifying comes from a spot where he played Thermal Station with G2, and he was an edge player. So you're going to be able to teach Steeds and Nick Merckx how to play the edge to perfection, and that's how you do it, because Sentinels was an edge team, 100 Thieves was an edge team. They took that fight. They also took your advice. They left that banner. I wouldn't be surprised to see 100 Thieves potentially grab that one as well. But Jet is going to be a great IGL for this situation now that they're landing in the very back of Skyhook.
Got that Gibby ult right in front of them. Somebody's whipping out that Legend, even now that he's fallen a bit out of favor. Tripods have a smooth retreat in front of them, but it's the final member of Sentinels that managed to zone out these three. Just one left from that skirmish that Sentinels started with 100 Thieves. Now having to run through the open, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going out before the top 15, because Gibby is kind of a bullet sponge.
Yeah, he really is, and especially in this meta with Seer, you're going to be able to hunt these players down. Tyson now, I believe this is the Tyson squad that lost out on a player really early, correct me if I'm wrong, but they now have all three players back, and they did not get that banner on the other side. Vaxon's timer did go down, but it was not the Seer, it was Valkyrie. So Amu, speaking of Seer, taking a lot of damage. He's not going to have enough time to get this syringe off, or will he? Just a sliver away. And now they're going to know that knock came through. Also, zone is moving, so they have to do something ASAP.
Yeah, there's no time to wait around here. Scurry doesn't quite get the cancel on the ultimate, but he's still spotted by Tyson, who managed to deal just that little bit of damage, and then honestly, leave him for the zone, because there's going to be plenty of DPS coming from that. And Tyson have got other places to be, moving their way into zone alongside what looks like TSM, who are going to be coming from the north this time around, as their rotation has taken them all the way up to this nice little bit of height, and actually placed them in an area where it doesn't seem there's a lot of contest for their height.
Man, I love Pro Night here in Series E. I love World's Edge as well. You can just see the experience from all of these players. That area TSM's holding takes a lot, because there's so many different third parties that come over there. There's so many different areas to watch. Renegades is on the rope. Madness isn't going to be able to do much. That's going to be Hal coming in with the cleanup now on board with Razor. Blakeu is going with the fuse again. They played phenomenal yesterday. They also were using Maggie yesterday in the open night on World's Edge, so it's nice to see them continue to kind of mix things up to find out what's going to really work for them as they get ready to fight through that relegation process. The team that's 7th place out of our 7 partner teams in the cumulative leaderboard, but still one heck of a squad, as now we switch on over to Energy to find out what they're up to. A lot of teams going to coexist still in this zone. Big 112 from Sweet. What
an angle on the side right now. NRG could push off of that alone, especially with the Arc Stars that they've got. Sweet continues to lay in the damage. He's favored the bow for a long time, and now it's really starting to pay off, as Arc Stars are going to force the team underneath them off the bridge, likely. Nathan, waiting with that black hole, still can start a fight, but NRG are playing this so patiently, despite the fact that third parties are unlikely up here. They don't want to give up any ground unnecessarily. Nice knock onto Joey Blackout means that NRG have already started things off well, but they still maintain their height, do not get too greedy, and wait to drop down onto the low ground. Another knock onto Z Davis.
Nasty wingman shots right there. Nathan put in some serious work. Doesn't even have the mag on the wingman, which makes things that much more difficult. Now back on board, Gentrifying taking down his old teammate Designful. This is Tripods looking for some more blood. The bait and switch coming in with Deeds. They're going to find one player on the stairs, and that's going to be all she wrote for Resulta, as one player remains. It's Chaotic coming through with the black hole. Tripods dropping their old teammates right there. Big fight. Now Mike and I coming, and looks like they want to get involved. That's going to be MJ with the Thermite, and this is looking like Tripods down next. Is there going to be a fourth party over here? Speaking of four, round 4 closing here very shortly, Dia. Great fight from Tripods, but even better third party from Mike and Ike.
It was so smooth. It was almost a continuation of the fight, and this is the Mike and Ike that I've become a really big fan of in the past few weeks. The way that they are able to constantly keep tempo up, that they are able to fight so well. Now, however, encountering what I believe should be TSM on the height, things are going to get a little bit more difficult, and they are lacking the ultimates that allowed that third party to go off so well.
Yeah, no doubt about it that Mike and Ike was waiting in the wings for that one, and the timing couldn't have been any better, but now that kill feed is starting to light up. This is where the money's made. Round 4 closing as Bronzy going to drop Kubsky. Messiah from Team Nerf goes down. Albert Lily's going to drop Shiny as well. Razor goes down. Turns is almost out as Forrest is the last person alive on his squad as CLG is collapsing. First attempt is out. All these squads have no room to work with, maybe using knockdown shields or their old teammates' loot boxes to try to survive. This is getting like a bloodbath here very shortly.
I do still have a little bit of time with NRG right above. You don't want to give away too many sound cues, but NRG are focused elsewhere, so there's a chance for CLG to recuperate. Down here on the low ground, you're waiting for this gravity lift for a coordinated play from NRG. Right now making great use of that Newcastle wall to make sure that they make it out of these top 6 and hopefully into the top 5.
Playing on the low ground isn't your typical winning position, but NRG is playing this to perfection. But the thing is, with this type of composition, do you have multiple ways that you could get up towards the high ground? Ideally, you're going to be using that Horizon Q to get back in, toss the black hole, play the head glitch over here. On the wall, big spray from Gildersins, 173 to the face, but he overextends just a little bit. No one for the rest of the team is there, and this could be C9 and SAS. It is. Snipedown was the initial person to take some damage. He backed off the bait and switch there with Albrelli and Naughty, and now the hunt on NRG is on. Snipedown continuing to push with the R301 longbow combo. Looks like he wants to get rid of that ASAP so he can get some sort of shotgun a little bit more close range. NRG going down. Maybe they should have considered using that Q there, but just a little bit over aggression around the corner is all it took. They also put SAS in a pretty bad spot after that.
This is what you're talking about, though. That low ground, right? It's not exactly a winning position. Now, not only are CLG focused on you, but you're drawing more attention from the teams above. Dini does have to back off and will more than likely die to ring, but as Heisenberg from Oxygen makes his way into the ring as well, he's starting to eat damage that we know teams like SAS are going to come up against as they move up. CLG are gone. We're into our top 4 squads, and as the last member of Oxygen eats it, we're going to move into our top 3, with SAS still in here, albeit only as a 2-man.
Yeah, the only 2-man here as we take a look at Mike and Ike, still a full team. TSM, still a full squad as well. This could be enough points for Mike and Ike to overtake Intel just in game number 1, which means the pressure is going to be on. SAS is furthest away from all of the action, though, and if TSM decides they want to go in on this, SAS could come through with the third party.
I feel really bad for Mike and Ike in the spot they're in right now. They're just sandwiched between these two teams, and especially with the fuse from TSM, they had nothing left in them but to lose. Remember, another fuse ult comes in, and things just get harder for Mike and Ike, as TSM don't even bother to shoot their guns at them. It's just the nades until the fight is just a wash. Mike and Ike are gone, and now we've got ourselves a 2 versus 3 for the win. Both teams have fuse, neither has ultimate, but Albrelli has height, and we'll see what he can do as he drops down onto TSM with nothing but a prayer and a peacekeeper. No teammate anymore as Albrelli goes down, and TSM are going to be the ones walking away with Game 1 victory today.
And TSM made that fight look so easy. Not the final one, but the initial one going up against Mike and Ike, which wasn't easy to do. They barely took any damage. Once you realize that they had to go over the mountain for SAS, there was almost no chance that a team like TSM is going to let that happen. And Reps continues to impress on this fuse. We saw Zeratricky originally busted out in Series Z right around Season 3, Season 4. Reps off that Gibby onto a more aggressive legend. Couldn't be happier for him to play something that gives him a little bit more damage, a little bit more room for outplay, and you saw the power of the fuse right there. Dia, you were talking, they didn't really need to even shoot their weapons, just knuckle cluster, ultimate, boom, they're in there.
Yeah, something that I really appreciated about the way the Fuse was played for both teams at the end was how it related to a discussion that I've been seeing actually a lot. I think I caught it on Reddit initially, but as to whether the role of Anchor is sort of dying as people move to these more aggressive legends. And Anchor has really shifted in its definition when we consider the fact that players like Reps are now picking up the Fuse, because it's not so much about determining whether your teammates are safe or not, but how the engagement is going to go down. That's something that Fuse has done so well, especially with the ultimate, and that we got to see Reps and Aberlele really highlight in the endgame.
When I think of Anchor, I think of my ranked teammates, to be honest with you. How I just play perfectly, and they're always, like, holding me back. But, no, Anchor's, in terms of positioning, play style, kind of backing each other up. Now, it is always important to take off angles, and I think one of the best things that you can do as we take a look at some of these highlights is take an angle for when someone needs to kind of cross out into the open. That's what you're hoping for. You're wanting the enemy team to get out of these head glitches, because when you watch a majority of these players play, they're never moving unless they are moving up towards another spot, right? And it's very methodical in the way that they approach everything, whether it's using a box or using some stairs, using a hill, using a rock. So many different areas of the map that get utilized to your advantage. Even Gildersins right here, right? He's coming up and he's trying to get around this corner. Wasn't expecting someone to be there. And that's what's crazy, is they have the Seer ultimate down, but it came just a little bit late. And again, the Horizon Q could have been used. Multiple Seer ultimates were used in that type of situation. But you need to be able to decide how you're going to go and approach these head glitches before you do anything. And that's what Gildersins was trying to do. He's trying to make his way into the corner. He was trying to jiggle peek over towards the edge of the train track and make their way over towards that high ground. But you saw how brutal it was to be on that low ground, how TSM was able to utilize their ending position, and not only that, pick up a ton of kills. That was just game number one, a very exciting one. Let's toss this one to Yaso and get his thoughts.
I would just like to confirm for everybody at home that I have, in fact, never played ranked with Tom, so he wasn't talking about me. I don't know what he's talking about with this whole Anchor thing in ranked, whatever that was. But game number one goes to TSM, and we see a bunch of very important moments from multiple different teams. We get the early 50-50 between Intel and Mike and Ike winning that handily and going on to finish in top three with some more KP means that they have likely jumped ahead of Intel for the time being, and that's something we saw last night, right? We came into last night's competition, Intel ahead. Mike and Ike playing chase multiple times during the night. Mike and Ike jumped ahead, but the strong finish from Intel in Game 6 allowed them to hold on to fourth place coming into tonight. We are likely to see a lot of that movement continuing here into tonight. So Mike and Ike likely have retaken claim of fourth place for the time being, but still 5 games ahead of us and a lot to be determined. Nerf also getting fairly deep into that game. They're going to feel good about that because they're trying to keep Excedrin at bay for the time being. NRG with an incredible game in that fight. Could have gone completely differently if Guild was just able to get a little bit more damage, get the knock on the Valkyrie there for SAS, but it wasn't to be, and that just opened the door for a TSM squad that was so well positioned for where that circle was pulling, and they cleaned it up in the end. They pick up 7 kills for their effort in this one. Hal leading the way big time, just short of 2,000 damage, 4 kills and 3 assists to his name, and no surprise that the leader here of TSM leading in the stats as well. Let's take a look, though, at some abuse that they applied to Mike and Ike in our Mobile 1 high performance moment. I think we might need to send TSM and SAS to The Hague for the war crimes that they committed here on Mike and Ike. You see Verhulst here with that bow check and the car just poking away bit by bit by bit, and that final shot with the bow check catching MJ and getting the knock. And now it was already difficult enough here for Mike and Ike with the positioning that they were in, but now TSM are easily able to play with this little bit of high ground. Any sort of movement they see, they just poke away at. Also, that Fuse ultimate helping a whole lot, laying that down right on top of Mike and Ike's head, and they clean up Mike and Ike here. And then, of course, courtesy of some of the earlier action, now you see that SAS, they have to take the Valkyrie ultimate up over the ridge to get to safety, but it's going to be a 2v3, and TSM easily able to clean that up. But it all starts with this clean fight up against Mike and Ike and picking up a little bit more KP and just guaranteeing that they still remained the top dog going into this final fight. So well played here from TSM, and they start off strong here with a nice 19 points in game number 1. It's got Oh, man. Just a great way to start the night here, folks. I cannot wait to get into the next game. We've got so much more to cover here tonight. We will check in with that cumulative leaderboard after game number 2. I'm going to want to see where the teams are at that point. We will save it for right now. For the time being, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, it's game 2. We've got plenty more action here for Series E when we return.
I'll be loading up, they wanna package this. Pray for peace, pacifist, I'm never old enough to give a promise.
When the chicken is this crispy and this tasty, it doesn't matter what else is for dinner. Tyson crispy strips are so delicious, they'll be your favorite part of every meal. More crispy chicken, more family faves, more to love. Tyson.
Welcome back to Series E Season 5, the final day, and our second game of it. I'm Dia, joined by T-Squared, and since we already had an insane Game 1, I want to take a look at those Mobile 1 leaderboards to see where we've landed on the first day. $2,000 up for the prize, and right now, TSM, they stand in first place, ready to take it all if they can keep the streak up.
And what was the difference between Team Intel and Team Mike and Ike? Was it 13? I'm not quite sure, but that was a great game for Mike and Ike. They're trying to catch up to Team Intel. Team Excedrin's our #1 team overall on that cumulative leaderboard, and they went out fairly early. This lobby is absolutely stacked. I can't wait to get game number 2 underway. So many different storylines that were happening. Unfortunately, from like a viewer's perspective, though, we don't have any 50-50s right off the rip. So we got to be a little bit patient in terms of watching the fights kind of go down. I think the first fight that we saw was more or less over towards that landslide area again, where Tyson was waiting to collapse on a team. Complexity came in, swooped behind, picked up some kill points. Somehow, miraculously, Tyson was able to get those banners back up. But now we're getting ready to find out where this zone's going to move. We had more of a staging zone last time. It looked like it was going over towards Skyhook. Maybe we can get something a little bit over towards the southern side. Maybe a lava siphon zone. That'd be really fun to watch. But one thing to note, Dia, as well, even though TSM had 19 points, SAS, right on their heels right there, the return of Snipe Down seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, very clearly, this is a team that is built on a lot of, I think, individual skill. I look at all the individual players and I go, yeah, I would never want to take a 1v1, maybe even a 1v2 with this person. So, the fact that you've got 3 of them all together allowed them to pick up plenty enough kills that in second place they are still one of our contenders for a top spot. We'll see, of course, if they can keep that up. TSM are winners from the first game already, have found themselves a little bit of loot, and will have to find themselves a rotation up north, evidently, as we're going a little bit closer to that Skyhook zone once again, though we're not quite sure exactly where zone will end up.
Ooh, it's going to go over towards the survey area. So then again, back on board with those teams over towards the north, taking a look at what Tripods is doing. Nick Merckx and his squad, Gentrifying, taking trials again by himself. And then the eastern side of Skyhook being taken by 100 Thieves. So they're getting all that west side for Tripods. They're going to hit that rotation over towards that train tunnel area. And we've seen these zones a lot. Over towards that respawn beacon, Dia. This is a very popular Apex zone that we used to see back in Season 0, Season 1 of, well, not Season 0, this is before World's Edge, but the first seasons of World's Edge when you get that Watson set up over there. A lot of different playable areas, right? Expect Bronzy to kind of maneuver over towards the very northern side and kind of play on those train tracks before they go all the way in. The big question is, what will Sentinels do? Because they have the zone pulling over there. Are they going to kind of patiently wait, or are they going to look for opportunities to go for kills as we take a look at our potential first fight happening with Team Vizio?
Already starting things off with, I think, just a little bit of zoning right now. I'd be surprised if either of these teams chooses to take a fight, because especially over here near the eastern side of what will be our survey camp ring, you don't want to get caught in these choke points. Places like this that Vizio are currently rotating through, they want to get through as fast as possible, and so does the team ahead of them. We saw last game that third parties are oh so important in Esports Arena. They, the team ahead of Vizio, are already lining themselves up for potentially another one, putting themselves in a better position. They've pinged out the train tunnel right next door to one of the god spots that you illustrated earlier, and have access to this survey beacon should they choose to fight for Grandma's house.
Fighting over Grandma's house so everyone could get the cookies or the pie. Well, you know, my grandma specialized in making, well, basically everything. You know, Grandma has the best cooking, but Esports Arena, they're trying to cook it up over here towards the Beacon building, and this is not a spot where you want to hang. This is going to be a death spot, if anything, so it's time to move. This is what ESA really specializes in, getting in zone, especially with this type of composition. Newcastle to set up, Loba to seal all of the loot, SAS looking like they want to skirmish over here, and they are trying to take people down over towards the dome side. They've already found one. Kim Chi Lee's the first player to get knocked, and it looks like they're going to go for the flush onto him too. Excedrin not having themselves the best start to the day. We'll see if they can get that banner and reset.
And they're just a little late on that rotation. You know that teams like SAS are going to be coming around the side, and teams like SAS aren't distracted by the fact that they're thinking about their grandmother's tuna casserole, because man, that really took me back as soon as we started talking. As soon as you brought it up, I was like, oh no, that's all I can think about now. Intel, they've got other stuff on their mind though, as they hastily disengage, having lost one and had the banner timed out. They've still got to make their way into zone, likely with Mike and Ike on their tails. Complexity, they're fighting for dominance up in this northernmost train track and should have it, especially with the 50 crack on the Eva. Bronzy's already gone down, but it's a trade of 1-for-1 as Shiny now hitting the quick reload on the Volt, and the quick res finally gets the chance to take out first attempt and get his teammate right back in the fight.
And this is what we talked about, the rotation coming in over towards the top of the train tracks. Complexity beat them towards it, and that's such a big fight for the end zone, because this is where it's going to pull over towards Kodagami with a 30-30 knock onto Stay Naughty. So looks like SAS doesn't have it all figured out quite yet. They lost out on one player when they have a 2 versus 3 over here. So we'll see if they can get Naughty back up, but that could have just been enough time for Excedrin to dip out. They're not going to be able to go for that banner. Snipe down looking like he wants to go for the res, but he needed to go and heal up first. Alberelli needs to hit a med kit as well, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing, making sure that they're safe. Kind of baiting for a while, the snipe down special. It wouldn't be snipe down without a quick little bait. Bro, hit the res already.
Yeah, at this point, you're worried about the audio cue, but since you've got Aberlele covering you, things should be safe, right? We see on the highlights that we've already got the 1v1 going on, and Aberlele doesn't even make it look loose. Now he's got to make it a 1v2, though, and he pops down and deletes Excedrin with that PK shot. What a fight from SAS on the edge.
Perfect play there from Snipe Down. Perfect play from Alberelli. Literally using the knockdown shield to perfection. Not only that, but Alberelli, like you said, covering them. The key thing is to heal right there. And you know that they wanted to go for that fight, because if they win that fight on the Excedrin side, not only are they getting those kill points, but they're able to get the banner most likely after that too. So they get the full 3v3. So I love that all or nothing play coming in from Excedrin. When you're on the edge of the zone like that, with it pulling heavily towards the north, they should be able to get that res as well on Naughty and get back into this one. SAS, looking like they've been playing as a team for years now, the way that they've been able to put this together. You know, you got those old TSM ties with Snipe Down and with Albrily, double controller players as well. Speaking of TSM, taking a look at what they're going to be doing, rotating on a Lava Siphon all the way over here towards the no-name area. Looks like they're not interested in really going for the middle of the zone here. They understand all these teams are going to be set up. Let's go for kills. Let's find our spots to play. And this is what I love about watching TSM play, is the routes that they take come with so much experience with Hal as this IGL. And he's just going to be able to continue to lead these guys in the right direction. So it looks like they're going to go for the Overlook side, continue to get the high ground. They have the weapons for the poke as well. G7 Scout, yeah, the 2X, not your typical scope. You're looking more for the 2-4 or the 3 in this type of instance. But the 2 doesn't have nearly as much recoil as the other scopes. So Verholst is going to be able to put in some serious work. Unfortunately for SAS, it looks like they were eliminated. They didn't have enough meds to make it out of the zone.
Dang. Wow. Well, that is not something that I expected to really be biting them, but I guess the zone changes hurt SAS a lot more than anyone would have imagined. And from 2nd place to 18th, the change-up is bigger than they would have hoped for, bigger than a lot of people would have expected. TSM can sort of breathe easier now, since they don't have that 2nd-place squad to be viciously competing with anymore, although I don't think that it's going to have them letting up on anybody right now.
And it all started with that 30-30 knock from Kodagami. Again, that was an initial fight that was a 3 versus 2, and that's something that is a little bit unorthodox. You don't see a team like SAS get eliminated in that type of instance, but the zone changes, the amount of damage that's coming through, if you don't have enough meds, makes it a little bit tough. Everyone's rotating a lot faster. Speaking of rotations, we got ESA in here setting up. Looks like that Newcastle wall is going to come down here very shortly as a Loba ultimate. That black market is to follow. So some extra loot, some extra healing. So that's something that SAS could have desperately needed.
I love Phony's Newcastle play so much. Esports Arena, ever since Newcastle started to become even marginally meta, have done so well with this legend that to get the chance to watch them set up in survey camp is a treat. And we're going to get to see, I can only imagine, more of it. They do play very defensively, and as of right now, sitting inside with the Loba Newcastle, you can afford to do so. What I am worried about for ESA in the future of this game is trying to get out of survey camp, as Intel won't even be able to get out of the valley if they get shot in the back and taken down.
Nerf gonna drop over towards this fragment side. Intel going out again without any points. That's a tough situation. Also getting word that one of their players lost internet right before the game started, so that's a very tough break for Team Intel considering the circumstances. Hopefully they can either find a third or that internet comes right back up. Also, shout out to everybody. Stay safe down in Florida. If you're dealing with the hurricane situation, be safe out there. Those hurricanes are absolutely no joke, but let's see what Nerf's going to be able to do. After securing first place yesterday and Excedrin already being eliminated, this could be an opportunity to continue to add more points on there, Dia.
Looks like it, as already they do have themselves a playable position in this zone. Managed to hold on to it for now. As we do move further north, though, things will be difficult, as there's going to be a lot of pressure on turns and any IGLing from Nerf to actually get themselves a safe spot in the zone. G2 may even have choicier rotations, as they've got something like the Horizon and a rotation up to the outside of Epicenter in front of them. But this big open area between Fragment and Survey Camp, that is what kills so many squads.
Yeah, and we want to see G2 put something a little more clean together after their performance in game number 1, where they got dropped fairly quickly by tripods. Looks like they have the loot to deal with, though, right? R301 car, the combo that Chaotic loves to run. He's got that red armor already. Looks like they crafted this armor up, though. Doesn't seem like they had any damage put in over towards the side, and he's running on 35 crafting materials. We know that they're over towards that thermal station side. It's time to full send, though. They have the advantage in terms of armor. They're going to take on over towards the high ground. Double seer ultimates being popped as well, so a lot of information being passed back and forth. When is that black hole going to connect for Chaotic, though? He's just waiting for that opportunity to collapse right now. Designful distracting on that Horizon, and that's what's the key, or excuse me, on the Valkyrie. And that's the key to Valkyries. A really good Valkyrie is going to fly around and look for opportunities to do something, but MJ with the third-party scout shots. No one was expecting a third party to come this quickly.
Mike and Ike, they're always right there, though, and it feels just like last time. As soon as G2 start a fight, Mike and Ike are already on top of them. Nerf do manage to claim their rooftop back, but right now it's not them that are really benefiting from this. Messiah drops down. We'll see whether he gets shot by Mike and Ike as well, as both he and Force lose their shields. Instant Horizon Q right back up to the top, and we'll see if they make it out alive. Wizard Coin does so much damage, but he doesn't get that final knock as he shield swaps, and now hopefully gets that Seer Scan to interrupt some healing. He will do so, but still needs access to this verticality, and he's just not climbing fast enough.
What a confident play there from Nerf to be able to go through and say, hey, we're still going to take this fight no matter what. We can't continue to coexist over here. Surprisingly, that wasn't a one clip from Wizard Coin. The shots to you were just so good. That player had to escape with just 1 HP, but now everyone's going to regroup on over towards the roof, and Mike and Nick realizes, hey, they're fully reset now. This fight's been going on for quite some time. We need to consider a fourth party coming in, so they're going to back off, let Nerf continue to do their thing, loot up, and take all those resources that they need. Meanwhile, you saw in the kill feed madness from Renegades, he gets dropped by Razor. Razor continuing to improve day after day, week after week, as they get ready to go through that relegation process. As we already know, it's the final day here in Season 5. The top 4 teams make it into Season 6 for the partnered squads. The bottom 3 will have to go through that relegation process. Right now, it's between Intel and that 4th place bubble. Tyson is in 6th, and then in 5th place, Team Mike and Ike, the team that you just saw on over towards that fragment side, fighting for their spot to make it in. Speaking of Mike and Ike, back on board with them. There goes the black hole from MJ, and MJ has to be one of the MVPs for partnered players this season.
Absolutely. So they've already managed to move their team up to the spot that I'd expected G2 to take earlier, sitting around the outside of Epicenter. It's not even close, this contest, as already a knock has come through, but his boat gets taken down as well, and MJ is lacking shields. Mike and I do have to take a quick reset, despite the fact that they got the initial damage. Nerf are chasing them down onto this low ground, and it's 2 versus 3, as Mike and Ike are going to get wiped off the face of Epicenter. Just 1 member left standing, and MJ isn't it. Turns, going to be able to take his team up to the sky as round 3 is doing a lot of damage. This is a quick turnaround, and though Nerf will be lacking a little bit of health, we'll see where they end up landing. Razor are going to have their eyes on this, as will so many other teams, but can you actually afford to pick a fight with this 3-man?
Yeah, Mike and Ike bit off a little bit more than they could chew there. They were dealing with Nerf, who just got those fresh armor swaps coming in from G2. We knew how fresh G2 was looking in terms of their red and gold armors. Tripods now on the outside looking in, going up against Team Razor. Good shots there from Gentrifying, but the zone, is it going to continue to eat away onto Deeds? Looks like they're going to be A-OK. Nick Merckx, you know he hits the gym for a reason. He's coming through and punching his teammate back in towards safety, but NRG looking like they want to collapse. The Seer Cube comes through, stops it, and it's going to be all she wrote here for Tripods in this 2 versus 3, unless they can do something miraculous.
That interrupt is just deadly, and we're seeing exactly what we talked about before play out in front of our eyes. The valley in between Fragment and Survey Camp claims so many teams. The last one going to fall right now. We can only imagine. Tripods bite the dust, and NRG are the ones that finally get to capitalize on all this loot that's been laid down. CLG, ignoring everything in Survey Camp, are playing your classic Watson at Newcastle playstyle and simply vibing, waiting for the game to come to them.
Now, we brought this up in the pregame show that OXG has been trying a handful of different compositions. Looks like they're the only crypto inside of this lobby. When you combine that with Watson, definitely a formidable squad. Not an easy legend to play. Definitely got to have some experience on that one, and your teammates need to know exactly how to play that scenario as well. But crypto offers a lot in terms of a recon legend, and being able to drop those EMPs to stop the Seer ultimates coming through. Complexity, they're going to get stopped by TSM. Hal goes down. Furhol's now going to have to cover as Reps goes for the res. Will we see another NRG interruption here from Sweet?
Miraculously, no third party just yet. As NRG try and take the train tunnel, we know that other squads earlier were prioritizing this Esports Arena 4-1, but have likely moved on for now. We see on our screen highlights right in front, as there was another squad rotating up through this train tunnel, and Tyson still holding it down as well. Now finally facing up against NRG as they see the rotation and go, oh, what? I was ready for that fight. NRG do not want to take it.
Yeah, because they're going to get into the zone and then do some gatekeeping. Looks like they could play the high ground over towards that left-hand side, but once you're up there, you're a little bit susceptible to getting poked down. Ping is going down. None of that spot is safe, though, or playable, so they're going to have to continue to take their time. And Tyson, they've been trying to rotate out of here, but NRG, they took, again, that high ground spot, which is just so powerful. Not only that, they weren't getting punished by any long-range weapons, so they're going to be the team that gatekeeps Tyson. Meanwhile, Nerf, they get eliminated as well. That's 2 knocks coming in for NRG, 1 player remaining on this Tyson squad. Meanwhile, looks like the entire lobby is running directly towards NRG.
It's exactly the same as what played out before, but this time NRG do have a little bit less height. They have a team at their back. Nice turnaround as they end up finding a knock onto ESA and actually taking them out. Sentinels going out as well, and will NRG end up pushing onto the teams that had to expose themselves to so much risk and damage to move up here. Nathan, well, a little bit low, should be able to recover, but instead he gets jumped on by Sung, and Vizio right above are preying on an NRG that was just ever so slightly overextended. Sung putting in some good damage, does manage to finally clean up the kill onto Nathan, and now do you go for the 3v2, or are we going the other way? NRG pick the fight, and they lose Sweet almost instantly, while Gildersins does find a knock. I don't think it's going to be enough. 100 Thieves end up losing some members as well, and actually fully going down. Well, Gildersins is still alive out here, still waiting for that third party. He's taken out Burton. TSM are coming in, and it is a cluster of teams that are all so bloodthirsty as nades fill the ground, and TSM, Gatekeep, even entering onto Vizio, taking down almost one of their members, and with 2 left, it should be a nice cleanup for TSM. They've got the reset, and Oxygen here for the third party. It's a 3v2 for Oxygen. Can they clutch this up? Raps is still doing so much work with this massive amount of grenades, and as Oxygen are forced to take the reset, it's now a 2v2. TSM have to get out of this building. Watson fences are in front of them. Surely this is an Oxygen win, or can TSM defy the odds?
Heisenberg needs to crawl down and go for some sort of bait, but they weren't able to get him out of there. Here comes the zone starting to close over here. You can see the fences have gone down. The push is happening, and the zone is just eating TSM alive. Rojas has to run directly towards him, and Oxygen, they're going to take the win on that Crypto Watson composition. What a game number 2. What a fight over towards that final building. I've never seen so many death boxes inside of that actual building. Everybody started to collapse over there. Whether you're playing Watson or not, Newcastle, didn't matter. They were still charging you. And that is the Oxygen gaming that you've come to know and love. They wait towards the end game. They get into great position. And it's nice to see them using a composition that fits into their play style.
It is. Lord, it is not every day that you see an end game played out like that, though, with every team smelling the blood in the water and going to it like sharks. We still had some really big names surviving up until the end, though, and the fact that TSM were able to get first and then second with a lot of KP to back it up has not shaken them from the top of the leaderboard. Instead, we're looking to things like the middle of the leaderboard to determine how our partnered squads are doing.
And the cumulative leaderboard, too, to take a look at the partnered squads and how that position goes for 4th place. And we did have Mike and Ike getting eliminated fairly early. Intel went out early as well. I think Mike and Ike was around that 15th spot. Intel right around 17th. So they didn't really go blow for blow in terms of fighting like they did in game number 1. But it was still a very exciting game nonetheless. And like you said, Dia, TSM continuing to impress. Back-to-back top 2 finishes, taking the win in game number 1. You had a feeling maybe they could get something done right there once they got that first initial knock, but a very smart play by the Watson player on Oxygen to put the fences down in the right situation. They didn't go for the res. That was round number 5 closing, okay? That wasn't round number 6. When have you ever seen a pro lobby end in round number 5 at that type of a pace? That was exciting. That final fight over towards that building is something that's for the books. I can't wait to see the replays on that one.
Everyone was scrambling that game. That's what it felt like, as we got a lot of people running through open area that ended up with a much earlier finish than we're used to. We got the chance to see if in our 3rd game of World's Edge teams have a little bit more time to rotate or not. But before that, let's hear from Yeso.
You get a third party, you get a third party, everybody gets a third party there in the final fights of our 2nd game of the day. Teams one after the other, all piling into that building. The fact that Vizio actually survived for so long in that fight is incredible. They continued to bat away so many different advances from so many teams. They didn't get into the top 2, but it was still a valiant effort, and ultimately Oxygen comes out on top. Let's take a look at how they performed in this game. 8 kills here for the squad, led by Heisenberg. Kubski with the most damage. Great game there from Oxygen, and I love Tom pointing out the fact that, it is to that Oxygen style, finding that nice little soft spot that they can occupy, being patient, waiting for their opportunity to make a play, and then jumping at that chance. They did exactly that. They are able to catch and trap TSM up against the edge of that circle and clean it up, and it gives them the win. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment here, and then I do want to take a moment to look at our cumulative leaderboard. But it is this chaos around this building. 5 squads remaining. Nathan is already down on NRG, and Vizio trying to poke away here at NRG, trying to pick up whatever KP that they can. And this is already multiple fights have ended, and now it's more that want to come in. They're continuing here to deal with NRG. And then guess who else wants to get in the fun? 100 Thieves is in the area. TSM wants to jump in on this. Meanwhile, Oxygen just biding their time. But this is just a good job of Vizio of keeping NRG at bay and ensuring that they continue to maintain this strong position. That's a big reason why they're able to pick up this extra KP here at the end of the game to stack on top of the placement points, and Vizio's going to love that. They're a team that is certainly safe, right? Too many points behind to threaten for first, but I think too many points ahead to have to worry about anybody superseding them in that third place spot. So Vizio in a very safe position, but still playing very good Apex Legends. Let's look at that cumulative leaderboard, I should say, really fast before we go to a break. We're going to keep track of this all throughout the night. Nerf hasn't had an incredible night so far, but Excedrin has gone out early in both games, and Nerf has added some extra points. They now lead by 28. So 4 games to go for Excedrin to try and turn that race at the top of the standings on its head. Meanwhile, Team Mike and Ike making it happen. They have jumped ahead. They have crossed the 1,000-point threshold. They now sit with a considerable lead over Team Intel. Intel failing early in these first 2 games has really set them behind, and I believe they have 0 points so far on the night. So Mike and I taking care of business here, and that is absolutely huge. We will continue to check in on that cumulative leaderboard as the night continues. We'll probably visit it once again after Game 4 to take stock at how these teams move over the next 2 games. But it's going to be an incredible race to the finish, folks. We're going to a quick break right now. A reminder before we do so, if you're looking to pick up products from any of our partners here at Series Z, you can see them at the bottom of your screen right now. Head over to walmart.com/esports arena. Maybe you need a new TV from our friends at Vizio, some new peripherals from Razer, or maybe something to snack on from our friends at Mike and Ike and Tyson. Anything you need from all of our Series Z partners you can find at walmart.com/esports arena. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll close out our first half of the day. T-Squared and Dia will have all the action for you when we come back.
It's been 2 games so far, and TSM are still in the lead, T-Squared. However, NRG are coming up right behind them, and it isn't because of placements nearly as much as it is because of kills that have been really high for NRG today.
Yeah, NRG's been playing very well. It's exciting to watch this kind of battle that's taking place between TSM and NRG, because NRG won, I believe, 3 weeks in a row before last week, and they're seeming like they're coming back into full form here. Definitely the 2 teams to watch out for North America right now, and we'll see what other teams kind of get introduced into that conversation. But they've been a staple in Apex for so long, as you can see that overall leaderboard. Oxygen, they haven't really been playing as well as they could be in the last couple of months. But I feel like this change with adding crypto, finding the right play style again of getting into the center of the zone is really working. So it's exciting to see them getting a win under their belt, because they were one of the teams that were the most consistent actually in ALGS Season 1. Kubsky and his team were able to average 5th place overall in each game, which is absolutely insane in terms of placement. That just goes to show their zone knowledge and their rotations, plus their gunfighting and team fighting skills. Game number 3, we're getting ready for this one. No 50-50s to watch out for off of the rip. Team Vizio was the first team to get fighting. SAS with their fight up against Excedrin was a team to watch out for as well. And we'll see who's going to walk away with this one, and where the zone is going to pull. 2 kind of northern zones previously. We had one kind of over towards staging, one over towards survey. A very fast-paced game number 2. Welcome to the final day here of Season 5 for Series E Apex Legends. We know the storylines. If you're just joining us, well, it's all about getting that first place for Team Nerf and Excedrin and trying to stay in it if you're Team Intel, Tyson, and Mike and Ike on board with Oxygen Supremacy, who's going to be landing one of my favorite spots, Dia, over towards Big Mod and Lava City.
Yes, you gotta get this. I mean, not only really nicely laid out POI, but the extra weapons that come from here is actually what I think a lot of people argued made ESA great in the very first season of the ALGS, with Intel being able to land really nearby Oxygen. There's also a chance that they get in on this action, though the early games have not treated them kindly so far. We'll see if on this final game of World's Edge they can clean things up a little bit. And actually, speaking of Intel and their battle between both themselves and Mike and Ike, there was something else that I wanted to touch on, because we got to see those cumulative leaderboards right before we popped into the game. And well, at the beginning of the day, we were going, is Mike and Ike going to be able to make top 4? Now, the question has become, are they going to be able to make top 3? Because Mike and Ike are 12 points off of taking 3rd place, whereas the gap between Intel and Mike and Ike has grown to a 26-point lead in Mike and Ike's favor. This is a squad that not only has been able to turn things around in the midseason, but now is starting to push themselves higher than anyone could have imagined was possible.
Yeah, I want to make sure that we get that triple and quadruple checked, because the admins have the hardest job in terms of putting together the math for how these lobbies go, and I'm really fortunate that that is not what I'm doing, because I would mess it up, and we'd have people going, Tom, we're gonna have to talk to you in the back over here. Let's put you on casting duty, because you have no idea how to do math. As Team Intel makes their way over towards Lava City, and Lava City splitting with Big Mod is a definitely viable situation, because when you look at the amount of loot that's over here, there's a ton of loot. But the thing is this is a spot where you want to fight. Typically, you don't have to deal with teams over towards Dome, though. And when you have a team like SAS coming over from the Dome area, you know that they're going to want to fight. So we'll see what Oxygen's going to be able to do. They don't get any good armors, Dia. This is horrible for them. Running on triple grays, they're going to get full sent if anyone goes and takes a fight. Tyson looks like they want to set up fairly early. The zone pulling over towards that southwest side of the map. Now, they're going to have to go through one of our teams here, and it makes you wonder, is this going to be NRG that loves to kind of sit in this area?
It should be, and actually, yeah, nice call out as we end up swapping on over to the different perspective of NRG, who are trying to make their way the other way in Bridge. This was a zone that I was really curious about initially, as normally NRG would like to play up a little bit further back, but because of the way the zone is polling, because there's so much northern space included, they started to pick a fight already, and Tyson, unfortunately, on the receiving end of it, have already lost a member. Well, Nathan loses a little bit of health. It's a 3v2 in NRG's favor, and we know that they should be winning these. G7 Scout ends up finishing the fight as Tyson are the first team to go down in our 3rd and final game of World's Edge this season.
Tough break for Tyson there. We know that they're one of those teams on the bubble trying to make their way in there and hitting that rotation over towards NRG. You just don't expect NRG to still be sitting in their POI, but they're waiting for any team to maybe rotate out of that landslide area, and boom, they found Team Tyson. Speaking of fights, we got TSM over here fighting potentially between Harvester and that tree area. This is a very popular spot to go and hold, but the zone isn't pulling directly towards here. So TSM's just looking to brawl coming out of that lava siphon area. Meanwhile, CLG is going to get a knock onto Complexity. 2 different fights taking place at once, and Hal's not messing around. He's full sending over there. There goes the black hole. A couple of arc stars being tossed now. Even though the black hole doesn't fully connect, the arc star does. 2 arc stars are going to connect, but Kubsky from long range coming in with that charge rifle is going to shut down Hal.
And TSM, with their composition, don't have the ability to get out of there unscathed. As soon as the first knock goes down, as soon as that third party comes in, it feels like Yeso's already with us. You get a third party, and you get a third party. And TSM, they ended up receiving one just like everyone else. The Oxygen's armors are still really low. They're going to push for this fight a little bit more and see if they can't pick something up. They haven't actually taken out all of TSM just yet, and they've still got one member left. As they push up and try and take this fence line, Kupski gets that armor, gets right out.
Yeah, he gets that upgrade from gray to blue, but they know that there are two teams in the vicinity. The third party coming in from the backhand side for Excedrin is why they're going to call it and get back on over towards Harvester. I feel like if they had a little bit of a better armor situation, maybe they full send that, but it was a smart decision nonetheless, no matter the situation, because there's going to be a fourth and fifth party getting introduced over here because all the teams are going to start rotating here fairly shortly. If we could take a look at the mini-map and find out where a lot of this action is going to take place, that would be awesome, because we know teams like SAS should be making their way from the south coming up. Team Intel making their way in from Lava City as well, should have been on Oxygen's heels. And we will have Verhul still alive. He was able to get one of the banners. It's going to be Rep, so nice job by him. But Hal, unfortunately, going to have to play this one from to death screen. And there is Snipe Down from SAS getting a knock with the Wingman. Snipe Down busting out the Wingman.
Okay, we'll see whether SAS end up turning this one around. Kraber already in the hands of SAS is certainly going to help them do that, as second shot doesn't land, but Aberlele, not to be deterred, is still thinking about that long-range engagement. I like the play from SAS to take this bridge as well. Since TSM were holding it earlier, there are a lot of ways in which playing this side of this particular zone can be really powerful. If you're able to control this fence line and Valkold over late, you can avoid so much mid-game fighting, although I'm not sure that's the way that SAS want to play.
Yeah, and you have a 25% chance to get one of these crated weapons early on. One of the changes that happened with the new update, and Albrelli is going to take full advantage of that with the Kraber PK combination. You know that you have to be hitting your shots if that's the case, but love watching Snipe Down back in action and trying to bounce back after that. Unfortunate circumstance in game number 2 where they were dropped by the zone. Excedrin came in with a little bit of a unorthodox play in a 2 versus 3. They opened things up. Now we see Sentinels coming in from their rotation over from that survey area in the epicenter side. Team Intel also moving in from Lava City over towards Lava Siphon. Looks like they're going to be playing the hard edge over here, and Team Intel just one game away potentially from being able to take back that 4th spot, as now we see SAS and their fight happening on over towards the bridge. This side of the map seemed a lot of action, Dia.
And as Naughty and Aberlele drop down, you actually find yourself in a really big hole as SAS. And I don't just mean the fact that it's low ground. I mean that now you don't have a whole lot of ways of getting out of this position. Naughty's managed to get a little bit of mobility out there as well, but your focus has to be on making it into the next ring in the next minute. And Snipe Down, even though he's got that shield swap, still might not make it. He ends up getting taken down, though Aberlele finds a knock at the same time. It's traded 1 for 1, and SAS are going for the res, going to grab their teammate and get him back up. Great job from Aberlele to make this possible.
Yeah, the huge Kraber shot right there. Snipe Down may have an armor swap inside of this box too, which will be huge, and he does. You saw him pull off almost an M&K type of swap as he was moving into that death box, and now they're going to share this loot. Controller style, big nade though, and Naughty's considering going back to Aberlele, but he doesn't really want to leave Snipe Down. Just kidding. Snipe Down, you're by yourself over there as you need to hit that Phoenix kit. Battery being popped by Naughty, and they're going to need Aberlele to get this Ultimate Excel pop so he can continue to defend them as much as possible. Right now, I feel like Aberlele is considering using all 3 of these shots as fast as possible and then moving down to those death boxes where Snipe Down's at, and even towards that black market so he can get a different gun.
It'd be a really good play. At this point, Kraber isn't going to last you for too much longer, and I'm surprised at the decision from Aberlele to wait, hold off, and see if they can get a little bit more value out of this, because the last-minute swaps could be very punishing. Tripods, however, are being punished as we speak. 30 seconds left on a rotation that will bring them much further south, and they are stuck up here fighting a different squad in Countdown. Seer Ultimate is going to help them out a little bit on either side. This Tripod's actually got a Gibby bubbling up on them. They don't have any choice but to take this as a close range engagement. They've already lost to Nick Merckx, and Sentinels are the ones that once again are finding the fight in Countdown. Will they end up winning this one, however? As last time, Tripods ended up coming out the victors. Gent managed to land that Arc Star out on the outside, doesn't get any cracks just yet, and Deeds actually comes around, helping out with a lot of damage onto Senox, who ends up biting the dust. Jet's gotta reload. One of the two weapons ends up picking the 301 and instantly goes down, but as Tripods end up picking up that last kill, NRG are in here for the third party, and the ring has all but done the work. Sentinels and Tripods are now gone. We're into the top 16 squads, and NRG have all the loot.
What a great fight there between two awesome teams, Sentinels and Tripods, going toe-to-toe, but in the end, NRG playing spoiler with that well-timed third party. You got to give credit to Tripods. Sentinels is a team that specializes in skirmishes, and Tripods continuing to impress. After their 0-point performance last week, they are really stepping it up here. Excited to see how they're going to continue to play, but hello, is this a Kings Canyon ranked match? What's going on out here?
This is exactly, I think, what NRG did not predict when they started moving up north. They were like, nah, there's no way it pulls over to staging. There's
Everyone's
no way
expecting a Harvester. Everyone literally is, it's not on purpose, right? Everyone is thinking this is pulling over towards Harvester. That is the World's End Special, and oh my goodness, the damage Dia is absolutely insane. ESA eliminated with ease by CLG.
An unlucky position to be in for them as well. That Ravine can be really difficult to fight out of. Nano gets to group up with the rest of the team, and it sucks to be missing ESA at this point of the game, especially since I was talking up their Newcastle earlier, something that really could shift a lot in this late game. We've talked up Mike and Ike as well. Are they gonna bite it at the same time? Is this the Caster Curse game? Boat's able to disengage, but NJ ends up going down to Designful. There's not much that you can do as Mike and Ike. Maybe recovering the banner is feasible for Boat, but that's going to be reliant on a third party. Things are not looking good for them as they are just barely in the top 15. They've got 1 placement point, no kills right now.
The value of that mini-map right there. Little did they know that every single team was going to be inside of Harvester. Only 2 teams were in the zone out of the 15 squads remaining, and the fights are going to continue to ensue over here because every single squad is going to have to make their rotation in. If you have a Valkyrie, you're just going to have to find a safe spot to get out of here. Otherwise, you're going to have to fight your way. Nerf gets eliminated. 100 Thieves continuing to skirmish over towards the outside. 5 teams stacked on top of each other. Only 1 is going to walk away towards the zone.
Good reset from 100 Thieves inside this building. Still, albeit unknowingly, denying some resets from Mike and Ike as Razor up top are going to continue laying down the hurt onto any teams that dare brave the ravine. They've got an excellent position for right now, but it'll only last them the next 30 seconds or so as they need to find some more cover a lot closer to staging than they may otherwise be comfortable with. They do have that Valkyrie should they need to reposition. Will they otherwise brave walking through this valley?
It's going to be tough. They do have the high ground. This is a very viable spot to play, but right now I feel like they're just doing some gatekeeping, hoping for a non-Valkyrie Skyward Dive rotation from anybody. As first attempt gets eliminated, you have a little bit of help from 100 Thieves and FaZe Sipe Down coming through from Team SAS. And it's getting answered right back. It looks like there's another fight taking place with SAS. They're still stuck inside of this Harvester area, which no team has been able to escape quite yet.
A lot of suffering going on in this building. Mike and Ike, they've finally gone down, and it looks like we're going to get a lot more teams joining them as well. SAS are gone, and Razor throw in that last nade and then start their rotation in after having already done so much damage. Renegades explode inside of Harvester, and 100 Thieves are the last ones left rotating in alongside the squad just to their south. We'll see if they can make their way up to the high ground, or if they, much like the ESA boxes that they're looting now, will be squashed on this low ground.
And it's interesting when you look at all of the paths to go and rotate through as Razor now having to run into CLG, that the little ravine that you mentioned before, Dia, is one of the safest spots that you could make your play through, as Blitz is going to get that knock onto Sang. Nathan Gets a knock onto Complexity as well, as Gildersins going to answer one right back. And now it's only Monsoon alive. That's going to get eaten up real quick on the Complexity side. NRG adding to their kill total, trying to separate themselves from the rest of the pack and join TSM in that first place position, as 100 Thieves has made their way through the ravine, now taking down an Octane pad, which we have no idea how'd that get there, Dia? I haven't seen an Octane yet.
That must be a world drop, because no one's playing Octane in this lobby, right? 100 Thieves do have a good position, especially now they can actually access this building. I do suspect that somebody's in here, and actually get that confirmed for us right now. Onmu will be doing the same for 100 Thieves, and with the position that they have, actually clearing out Vizio will be super useful. Blitz does a lot of damage with that Mastiff, but an Arc Star right back ends up chunking up both he and Burton, eliminating their shields and keeping 100 Thieves on top, albeit a little scared for right now. You don't want to take this fight with Vizio, get Mastiffed and then third partied, but they are still going to be poking out at you. And as you go down, Skirwee ends up missing every single wingman shot, but still clearing the way for Onmu to come in with the 301 and Eva, clean up Vizio underneath them, and hopefully reset in time for this third party, because Razor are coming in.
Razor's flying in, and it looks like reminiscence of game number 2, where there was a fight over towards Survey in a similar building, but this time it's just going to slow down temporarily. And this is a very popular ending in Apex Legends, pulling away from Harvester, in between Harvester and Staging, over towards these buildings, maybe on over towards these train tracks area. But Razor only has 2 players, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to push in, and it looks like they recognize that on the side of 100 Thieves. Blake, who immediately deleted. There goes the PK, there goes the Massive from Onmu, and barely taking any damage. Collectively, they took about 100 damage to output almost 3 to 4 times that. Nice push there onto Team Razor by 100 Thieves, and now we have Team Excedrin, first place, actually second place, excuse me, in the cumulative leaderboard. Maybe they could catch up to Nerf, but now with NRG in here in the lobby, Sweet dropping 2 players with 1 clip with that G7 Scout, and that's all she wrote for Team Excedrin. NRG having themselves a day. They take first place away from TSM.
Easily so, as Nathan's going to be able to walk up to the height that TSM previously held in Game 1, clean up the squads ahead of him as Intel melt, but so does Sweet. Designful ending up being the one to take him down. Nathan manages to cover, and we'll see if they get this res. Gildersins not going to be able to provide too much cover with no shield, and Designful and Resulta still want to take this fight. It's a 2 versus 2, and Designful manages to get a little bit of loot. No more shields. We've got a res going off right next door. Chaotic is back in the fight, but NRG don't need to win this engagement. They just have to survive it. They just have to get a better position, because the ring will take care of G2.
Yeah, look at 100 Thieves. They're waiting to pounce around the corner, but they realize, hey, we need to think about where we're going to rotate on over towards the next zone. So instead of going for that fight, pings are going to go down. They're looking for more resources on the Razor boxes that they got previously, and they're going to push on over towards that staging platform, which should be where the zone is going to end up pulling and ending. Checking over towards the low ground, he's still got Vrolholz ratting it out. What a great job from Vrolholz, staying alive. His teammates got lost within the first couple of fights of the game.
And still being able to make it is, I think, the one thing that might keep them in the conversation when it comes to first place against NRG this game. NRG, who are currently relocating themselves right down to this low ground. 100 Thieves, TSM, and NRG all in the same 5 square meters, though NRG maybe not for long, as they've already lost Nathan. Gildersins and Sweet are going to have to reset once again, and aren't able to heal up efficiently since CLG are shooting at them from above. It is the doomsday scenario for NRG, but with Sweet still alive, we'll see if he can pull a Verholst and survive for even longer.
And you know who thrives off of this? G2. They come out and had a tough rotation. We saw the mini-map right there. NRG and 100 Thieves both dropping for Verholz, and NRG is the team that walks away punished from this one. Will 100 Thieves still have to deal with G2 above them, though? That's the real question. Plus, Nathan, the only thing that he's really showing right now is his toes. Vaxlon getting him back around the corner. 5 batteries, though, so all is A-OK for them. But look at Sweet and the amount of damage that he's been outputting just as a solo on this team. He's almost 3v1ing them by himself.
How does he swing on a 3-man and survive? Even now with Vaxlon full committing on full shields, Vaxlon still exposes himself to so much risk just to take out NRG. Sweet does go down. We're into the top 3 squads. And with G2 on this height, CLG across from them and 100 Thieves below. It's 100 Thieves that are going to have the difficult task of accessing this high ground at the right time.
A little surprising that G2 isn't interested in dropping down for that third party, but they know that CLG immediately would collapse, and if they take damage or lose one player, then they're going to be in a pretty bad spot. So instead, they're going for the safe play here. Problem is, 100 Thieves could sneakily just hit some sort of Horizon Q, come over, take this high ground whenever they want once they see these two teams start to duke it out.
100 Thieves have rampaged their way through this lobby, and I'll be honest with you, G-Squared, I don't expect to stop now. I expect them to be taking second places. Even now, Designful is going to have trouble holding on to ultimate height, and G2 have got to be so laser-focused on CLG across from them. We're going to start losing a lot of meds now, as we're down to just 2 more shield bats for Munch in this war of attrition. CLG finally are the ones to pull the trigger. Black Hole comes out, Chaotic Munch has to disengage, and from below, you got to know 100 Thieves are jumping on this. G2 have got to take to the skies, and up come 100 Thieves. Chaotic Munch relegating himself down to the low ground as Resulta is down. CLG have lost 2, and the janitorial cleanup crew of death, 100 Thieves, have come in from above and moved themselves into the top 2 squads against G2. Chaotic Munch still on that low ground, has the ring closing, and the scans are going to be enough to let 100 Thieves know that this is their game to win.
And the zone is eating them alive. Now it's a one-on-one up over towards the high ground. 100 Thieves going to take game 3. Dia, it doesn't really get more flawless in terms of execution, positioning, timing, everything that you know and love from 100 Thieves coming into fruition right there. Makes you wonder, should of G2 dropped on that fight when Sweet was putting down so much damage? Could there have been a little bit of aggression from these teams on the high ground over towards that low ground? And then we talked about it. They're going to get a little bit preoccupied. We're in the Horizon meta. Sometimes people can forget that. I don't think our pro players did. But once that fight does ensue, that's the perfect opportunity for 100 Thieves just to come back up, take that grab lift, and then put in the damage. Enough damage to win them the game and pick up some decent kill points as well.
That's one of my favorite things about Apex, is watching this 3-way game of chicken happen in the end games. When G2 know that they can't straight up fight CLG, they know they can't straight up fight 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves know that they have to wait for the fight up above, and everybody is biding their time, waiting for that first knock in the kill feed. Even when with anonymous mode you don't know who it is, it doesn't matter. You have to go as soon as you smell weakness, and 100 Thieves did a great job of that, not only in the end game, but in the entire mid game. All of their fights through Harvester, then to take themselves up to the high ground, and then right back down to the low to take out NRG. It was calculated, and it was the 100 Thieves that I think people are really excited about when we talk about Pro Apex.
And how about those moves from Sweet down below? Almost 3v1ing 100 Thieves, almost putting a damper in their entire plans. The dude was moving around. No one could hit a PK shot on him. He was using the knockdown shields. He was using the poles, or whatever you want to call those things, that were holding up the side of the infrastructure there. You really could have asked for more in terms of the rotations, though, from 100 Thieves. I think that's the big thing to kind of point out. The push onto Razor, for example, once they realized that was a duo, coming around, winning that cleanly, dropping down and facing NRG head-to-head while also eliminating Verholz, the threat down below. The timing, once they were down below, to come back up on over towards the high ground and take on that fight from CLG and G2. And it's a little bit heartbreaking for a team like CLG because, realistically, they were the only team to predict where this zone was going to go. Everybody went over towards the Harvester side expecting the zone to pull over there.
Yeah, we had a lot of teams just I'm piling in to try and take fights over there. Tripods and Sentinels, I think, a notable exception, with NRG moving up north to clean so many of them up. And it was an interesting reprise of Game 1 to be able to see how NRG approached it differently and in some ways the same. Seeing how they moved all the way up, actually cleaning up some really nice KP for themselves early on, putting themselves in the conversation with TSM. But then ultimately, when we think about their performance near the end game, it was the shift down to low ground that once again killed NRG. And we have to wonder, is this just their weakness when it comes to staging zones? When they hit the low ground, are they just dead?
What a big fight there, too, from Tripods taking down Sentinels. That's when NRG swooped in, picked up a lot of kill points, and it was a lot of kill points for NRG, enough to surpass TSM, I believe, in first place. But that's it for World's Edge. We're moving on over to Storm Point. We're also moving on over to Yeso. So Yeso, take it away.
Halfway through the day today there, and I've got Tyler Andrus, the CEO and founder of Esports Arena, joining me here for some halftime talk. We've got a lot to cover. Really fast, though, let's kind of wrap up that last game we saw. 100 Thieves grabbing a big win. Let's take a look at our champion squad here from game number 3 as we close out our World's Edge action and get ready to head over to Storm Point for the second half. And 100 Thieves coming out with a banger. 14 kills, a 26-point game. Everybody up over 1,000 damage there and controlling the high ground in the end of that game.
That was a. When you looked at 100 Thieves, I saw it, and there was 4 squads left. I was like, okay, they're going to win. I mean, they were already stacked. They had great positioning. Dia said it perfectly at the end of the game. I mean, they set themselves up in a perfect position, and we were talking about it. It was like, damn, 100 Thieves kind of coming out of nowhere recently with, they were considered not necessarily the greatest story. They were kind of going through some struggles there, but now seeing them on top of leaderboards, especially with 14 kills in a game of Series E, that's pretty epic to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a team that the expectations were high after the original roster had won champs back in 2021, and then they joined 100 Thieves. Yeah. Of course, dropping Vayne, bringing in Vaxlon, definitely changing the complexion of this roster, and they've looked really good as a result. Let's take a look at the Mobile One high performance moment. And it's actually a fight earlier on in the game that T-Squared was just talking about. It's Tripods here versus Sentinels, and Tom mentioned at the top of the day, Tripods really struggled last week. I think they only picked up 2 points through 6 games last Wednesday, but they have reversed their fate, changed their drop spot tonight, and it's looked better. They haven't had that big top 3 performance that you're really hoping for, but this is a good fight from Tripods here. Unfortunately, it takes just a little bit too long, and it opens the door for NRG to come in. But you can see Jet and Deeds doing a good job with Nick Merckx already down, continuing to play around these very narrow margins, creating space to make some plays, but unfortunately, the timing is too clean from NRG that while Sentinels does get eliminated there and Tripods are able to pick up that KP, NRG comes in a little late to clean things up, but Tripods looking good in this one.
There really have been a lot of great fights these 3 games. Mm-hmm. A lot of times Apex can kind of get to like where it is a little boring the first half of the game, and then it just kind of like doesn't pick up until the very end. But I'd say we've had a lot of really good fights and not too many third party just like ruins, you know what I mean? Where it's been a lot of like head-to-head matchups, and then like a third party will come in, but usually they're actually already all armor swapped up and ready to go for the next round. And so to see something like this, where it's like again, Deeds and Gent, like these guys, man, they're epic. Yeah. And to join a guy like Nick Merckx and to get this recognition, I think is huge for them, and they are clutching up. It's perfect. And I was kind of laughing about it too, because Merckx, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, right? He's good. He's epic, and I love the fact that he's investing so much time into Apex Legends. But how many times did Jet and D just go like, oh, again? You know what I mean?
Hey, Nick can clutch up. We've seen it quite a few times when they were still 50-50ing Esports Arena at Landslide a couple of weeks ago. Nick had quite a few clutch plays in those early fights. So they all bring a lot of talent to the table, and they're going to be very fun to watch in Pro League this season. Of course, we're also very thankful that they've joined us here in Series E Pro Night. Let's talk a little bit about Series E while we have some time here. Tyler, you put out a little tweet thread at the top of the day talking about some big numbers around Series E, the amount of players that have come through Series E, the kind of money that we have invested in these players specifically in the scene. Can you kind of talk me through some of the big milestones that Series E has hit?
I think it's one of those things that in esports, people are so afraid to talk about, like funding and how much money you're spending, and when you look at esports as a whole, right? Like you've got these companies that are public companies, and FaZe going public, right? It's always something of a topic of discussion to see when people fail. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's such a terrible way to look at esports, because esports as a whole can never grow if you're just showing teams, or not teams, but showing the failures of esports. And it's one of those things that gets likes on Twitter and all that sort of stuff too, but what we're trying to do here within Apex Legends, Guilty Gear, Halo, and now potentially multiple titles that are coming out later this year, is build the ecosystem. Sure. And I couldn't fit it all in one tweet, and I didn't want to do a twit longer.
Too many numbers.
I thought too many people would be like, oh shit, what's the drama going on with Esports Arena with the twit longer going on? So I wanted to just go with this format right here. But you'll notice one of the things that we've noticed as we've continued to invest in Apex Legends, which is our first Series E title, right? It's been now 2 full years of Series E Apex Legends. 3 seasons, season 1, 2 seasons, year 1, 2 seasons, year 2. And the more that we've invested in the ecosystem of Apex Legends as an esport,
Sure.
you've seen the entire ecosystem grow. And I'm not saying it's because of us, but I mean, we are definitely a part of it,
Sure.
right? If you invest in players, like we've got some, retweets on this, that quote retweets of saying like, it's given me the opportunity as a player to get recognized, to afford to compete. As we see these games like Apex Legends that have a massive community, and the pro scene isn't necessarily there great for sponsorships and eyeballs and whatnot. It's hard for them to gain traction and gain a salary in order to support themselves when that's the game they want to play. And so they have to go to school, they have to go to work, they have to take care of family life, they have to take care of their home life, etc. When you're given that opportunity to get recognized and earn salary when doing so, now all of a sudden we've got orgs like Optic, 100 Thieves, Pioneers, Oxygen, Furia, Renegades, Xset, and many more that aren't listed on here that have come into Apex Legends. Now, maybe they're not tier 1s like those, but they're orgs that are still trying to get involved in esports and make a way. They're signing a lot of Series E alum, and they're signing a lot of new players that Series E hasn't even discovered yet either. So Apex Legends as a competitive community is growing as a whole thanks to the fact that a company like Esports Arena, not saying just, I'm going to pat ourselves on the back here. I mean, holy shit, almost $1 million in 2 years that we've invested into a competitive scene that arguably didn't really have much going for them at that time. ALGS was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love ALGS. And ALGS's numbers have grown.
Yes.
That's another part I would like to say, too, is that since Series E, the average ALGS viewership, that's big. The average ALGS viewership has grown over 30%. And don't tell me that a storyline like Verholst at Team Esports Arena and now Optic with Duplex and Skittlecakes started with Series E as Team Intel, then graduated to Esports Arena, and now got signed by these major Tier 1 orgs, didn't play a role in that.
And I think it goes back to, in some of my initial conversations with you, talking about what Series E was supposed to be all about. We're big traditional sports guys, and you talked about how there are these defined paths for things like professional football and hockey and all these things, right? The path to go from kid who loves playing sports to professional athlete is defined, right? It makes sense. In esports, it's so amorphous, it's not as well defined. And not only did Series E set out to try and give an option, but it has become, it would seem, the premier path for, at the very least, Apex Legends. For it's like, if you want to be a pro in Apex Legends and you're just getting your start, Series E is the place to go to get paid, to get recognized, to learn, to test yourself against some of the best around. So.
Yeah, and you're not just playing in front of, what we got, like 800 people watching right now, right? I mean, our viewership is not Nick Merck's viewership, it's not TSM Howell's viewership, but it's not Sweet's viewership, or even others that are part of this, but those are the 3 big guys. You look at those viewership, but they're hungry for competition.
Yes, they are.
And to stream 8 hours a day in ranked, there's a reason why there's Twitter, and these guys complain so much about ranked and everything that's going on with the game. And no offense or anything to the game, it's mostly just the users that are trying to make the game a terrible experience with cheating going on in the game and so on and so forth. So if you can get yourself into a closed format like Series Z with custom servers and all that sort of stuff, then you're hungry for that. So Hal's viewership goes up. Sweet's viewership's going up. Even Nick Merck's viewership goes up when he competes in tournaments, and especially in Series E. If you want to compete in Series E, you will get recognized. Not just because you got 800 people that are watching Esports Arena's channel, but you have 100,000 people watching Series E, watching people compete in it. And so that's why when the brand supports Series E, they're supporting the ecosystem. They're not just sponsoring Esports Arena and getting a logo on our stream. They're getting you as the player. And you now get to go up against the best in the world. You now get to prove it against best in the world. TSM Verholst proved it by being an Intel player. Optic Duplex, Optic Skittlecakes proved it as being Intel players first. So it's the opportunities there, folks. Continue to grind. You now have a pathway, and there's more third-party events. $1.5 million in North American third-party events alone in pricing have come out right now already since then.
we certainly love to see it. We're going to go to a quick break right now. Still plenty of action tonight, Tyler. I appreciate you always taking the time to come
Team
and
Nerf
talk.
is my Team Nerf is.
He's picking Team
overall
Nerf to win the
leaderboard,
championship. We may have a
think.
Nerf jersey behind me very soon. We're going to a break. When we come back, T-Squared and Dia have got all the action for you from Game 4, our first one on Storm Point for the night.
Listen up. Esports should be for everyone. That's why Esports Arena's launched our own tournament series called Player vs. Everyone, where you get to compete at multiple different titles, multiple different locations, whenever you want. Just watch this and check it out. I believe we have the best Apex Legends PvE player. Oh, I think he's supposed to break in the record. Best Apex Legends player in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Whoa, whoa, Tyler, hold up a second. We got someone out here in Salt Lake about to smash the record. What'd I tell you? Salt Lake City every time.
PvE has something for everyone. Here in Miami, we absolutely crush it at Mario Kart. Come to the final part. Oh, there we go. And that's going to be the top score for the day. See if you can beat that on the leaderboard.
The day's not over yet, Luke. Here at Esports Arena Cincinnati, we have somebody who's going to beat the Mario Kart record. So close. But the good news is you can always try again.
That's PvE in a nutshell. So find your nearest Esports Arena because it could be you atop the leaderboard. See you later.
Welcome back, kings and queens, to the Mobile 1 leaderboard, where NRG have managed to usurp that top spot, much like T-Squared was talking about intra our third game of the day. Now that we've left World's Edge behind, though, and we're moving on over to Storm Point, things are going to change, as we all well know, and not always for the better for these top squads. A lot of teams that do manage to find a lot of success on World's Edge with their calculated play sometimes end up getting caught off guard by the quick and nasty version of Apex Legends that we get once we hit Storm Point, as we're already getting with G2 losing a member. It will be just Dia on the mic for a little while as we cover the action for the first couple minutes of the games, as T-Squared is going to be getting right back in with us in a moment, and we will be heading on over to what looks like about the mill area. It's a little bit of low ground right outside of it, off to the west. A pretty open space to play, but plenty of god spots for rocks that are found just off to the north. And T-Squared has made his return. So, just in time, T-Squared, we just hit Storm Point, and it looks like we're going over by Mill.
Yeah, Mill is typically where G2 is going to be landing, so it's interesting to see them kind of lose out on a player fairly early, but they've switched it up, and I believe that they have changed their landing spots, and I want to know, what their playstyle is going to be here without being able to have, their typical spot. Now, there is a couple different layers to how they play, and the main thing is got an opportunity to play with Designful in the Twitch Rivals event with his and hers, and it was a great opportunity to learn what his mindset is as an IGL. This is the rotation that he loves to go and take if that's going to be their landing spot, and they're going to continue to come back here and use this crafter to play the edge, get everything that they need in terms of getting their armors up, getting all of the resources that they need, and really just taking their time. And that's one of the things that is different about Storm Point than any other map. You could really take your time, Dia, and approach the situation with all of the loot that you necessarily need. Now a sneaky play coming in from Razor. Looks like they are creeping up Counter-Strike style on this team, but that team is running away.
Waiting for Sang to realize it. You're going to hear the Watson fences in front of you, but still scouting things out. Since this is whereabouts our ring will be ending, the fact that Razor have arrived here early is a little bit of a question mark on my end. Since they've got the Fuse and they've got the Maggie, you look at this composition, you think they're going to be really good at playing edge. Prioritizing this high ground is going to be good for any team, but now that they've arrived here with this building taken in front of them, there's not really much for them to do anymore. With Snipe Down going down, it looks like there's going to be plenty for SAS to be involved with, however, as NRG are thinking about taking an engagement up against them. We'll see if they finish Sniped Out, if they go for this engagement, or if they leave well enough alone. For right now, it looks like they're going hard.
Lifeline? Who the heck is playing Lifeline? Didn't get an opportunity to see that, but it could be someone on SAS, which means they're going to be able to get Sniped Down back in this one almost immediately, and Sniped Down able to survive. There must be some sort of gold knockdown shield involved for the SAS squad, and is that Albrily who's playing that? Very interesting turn of events right there, and almost the perfect legend for the situation is now NRG's being baited out. Sweet, just a sliver of HP Tyson is the team that they were shooting at. So multiple teams in the area, and I'm not quite sure what happened with the Snipedown because he was able to escape with his life.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Naughty playing Lifeline. So the last time I did see Lifeline, I got really excited about it, and then I was told that it was a mistake, and I got very sad. So I'm going to assume that it's a mistake now, and I'll get very happy later if we find out that it wasn't. But for SAS, it's honestly not the worst thing in the world. Yes, they're missing a bit of the mobility that they would otherwise have from something like Horizon, but we've already seen a use case for Lifeline. With that res that came in, it might be one of the only things that's keeping SAS in the game at this point, especially with Tyson having come up behind them.
A handful of different legends could go and fit in that spot, right? Horizon could go there. Bangalore could go there. Naughty's Bloodhound is absolutely ridiculous. But Lifeline, hey, if they win, we may see some more Lifeline in your rank matches a little later today because we all know Stormpoint is in. Is it a Stormpoint move or was it a mistake like you were talking about, Dia? I'm going to think that he got someone in the chat to redeem their chat points and go, all right, Legend Roulette.
I could see that. I could see that. She will give you a lot of bats, a lot of med kits, a lot of sustain for the late game. And this is a little shrug emote from me. We'll see what happens. I'm excited, but tentatively what I'll call curious. As Renegades, they're also playing pretty tentatively. Sitting on triple blues already, again, with an early rotate into the zone. We've seen a lot of squads pull this off already. With Renegades, again, another squad that perhaps a little bit more standard, still doesn't have that much staying power, though they will have a lot more information available to them on this Seer.
Love watching Madness play on Stormpoint. I feel like this is where he starts to thrive. I mean, just look at that angle and the damage coming through. Has anyone ever seen that angle? I haven't.
That is, as soon as he walked over to the wall, I was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do this on Stormpoint. This is what I've actually talked about this a lot. I have beef with the architects of Stormpoint because World's Edge, they hired somebody that was really nice. They filled in all the walls. They had a lot of nice cover, great glass windows to be able to look at everything through. Why is every building on Stormpoint full of holes? Why have we cut corners on the construction of Stormpoint?
Budget cuts,
Yeah.
But just budget cuts on Stormpoint, not in the actual EA and Respawn area. They just said, you know what? We'll save money for the next map, and we'll fill it in when we get the chance to. But taking a look at that map, love taking a look at that to see where the rotations are coming through. Really the furthest team from everything is Team Intel. 100 Thieves winner from Game 3. Winners from Game 3 looking like they're in a fight with a team directly across from them, but not that much damage really traded out, just enough to kind of hit some cells and batteries overall. Omni the only one to take flesh meds. Gentrifying getting knocked by Wizard Coin. The charge rifle coming through. Shout out to Tony, and why not? His favorite weapon, loves to grief the lobbies with the charge rifle. Now the push is coming through. MJ a little bit too high in the air right there. Just going to toss that one down. I thought the player was going to move, but holy cow. They destroyed that all overall. Now Wizard Quinn's a little bit too aggressive. He's trying to survive. It gets baited out. Nick Burke's coming around the corner over here, and it looks like there's one player alive over here on the opposite side for Tripods, and that should be it as Zeeds and Nick Merckx going down. Last, Tripods eliminated. Very nice play from Mike and Ike, and they need those points.
Nick pulling off kind of a sweet move there, really doing well in the 1v3, almost taking down two separate people, almost making it a third even, but with Mike and Ike able to clean up the remainder of that fight, they've got the opportunity to move themselves back up to the 5th place that they were going into Game 3, as they've now slid their way back down to 7th. I want to say, also, quick shout out if you're watching and noticing that we've got the points right above the team names, that we've got the items. This is a big step forward that Series E has taken this season that I have been a really big fan of. The access to even more information for the audience in-game has been absolutely miraculous, and I am loving it here.
Likewise, little changes in the UI showing the batteries, all of that information constantly staying updated over here. Big Arc Stars coming in for Mamba. Saw a fight take place in this building yesterday. This is the way that you do it. You take it over towards the high ground, wait for someone to overextend in that building. You can lay down a handful of damage over here, but CLG is a team that's taking damage, and you got to be careful when you're on the roof. You're more susceptible to getting third party than the enemy team is. The push coming in The grab lift connecting, the PK shot's not, however, and smart play to go and use the enemy grab lift, but here comes the third party from ESA right on time.
Who is that above them? As actually first knock comes in, and ESA are going to make sure that it doesn't matter nearly as much, but the play against CLG was really good. And unfortunately, doesn't look like it was quite good enough from Excedrin, one of our favorite teams coming into today that have done super well throughout Season 5. Now just get a little bit unlucky on that third party that, again, is very scrappy here on Stormpoint. Esports Arena, they're the ones to pick up that small victory. And CLG are still alive and out there somewhere underneath. Esports Arena end up finding them. And if they get swung on, I think there's going to be nearly enough damage to turn this around. Esports Arena take out 2 squads for the price of 1 just before round 2 closes.
That's how you do it right there from ESA. The timing was immaculate. The execution couldn't get any better. And when you're able to enter a third party and pick up the kills from both teams, just like you were saying, getting that 2 for Wendia is so nice. Just the cherry on top to a well-timed push. And you can see nobody in the vicinity for ESA to try to spoil their party as they continue to loot up multiple boxes. Taking a look at the mill zone, though, you can still see SAS in prime position. Tyson, they've been set up for quite some time. Complexity doing a little bit of gatekeeping next to Vizio and Renegades. That's going to be interesting over towards the south side. But over towards the east side where 100 Thieves are, that is where the action is going to happen. Intel coming in, G2, Nerf, Mike and Nike, TSM coming in from the north side. We're going to have a bloodbath here in the next zone or two.
One of the really interesting things about the way this zone is going to pull is that with the teams that still have to rotate in, yes, they will have to go through choke points. Yes, they will have to go through a lot of open ground, but there are going to be multiple teams doing that from a lot of different angles. This isn't a situation where 100 Thieves, sitting up on that height, can just pick a direction, look in it, and mow people down. They're going to have to make decisions about what side they're focusing, what teams are the biggest priority, and we're going to get a very different game, one where even 100 Thieves could be threatened later on. TSM trying to threaten another squad who's actually ended up throwing out the black hole as Imperial Hal pops into building on this Seer and does a lot of damage, taking out 1.5 members as the rest of TSM come in. It's up to Reps to finish this off with the G7. He almost does it, ends up finding a crack on the armor, and still is going to be able to reset, take this one up against Enemigo to see if TSM are first attempt to make it out alive.
Smart play to toss down the black hole right there.
Arcstar
Going for the res. Arcstar comes in at the perfect time. Great fight happening between 2 extremely talented players. Enemy's going to go and try to avoid the Arcstar, trying to fight through the Horizon Ultimate, but the battery is not enough, and TSM going out in 17th place, and Mike and Ike coming in for the final push over here. Looks like they are hitting another well-timed third party. First attempt going out, but what a job by Enemy finishing off Verholst. Not easy to do. Verholst, such a talented individual player. Overall, though, it's Mike and Ike walking away with the points that they desperately need to try to make their way into the next season with only 3 games remaining here on Stormpoint and in the final season. G2 now looking good for this skirmish. Designful has the black hole in his back pocket if he wants to go and use that one with Chaotic, and now the push coming through the door. It's onto Intel, the team that Mike and Ike is trying to avoid, and that's it for Team Intel. They go out in 15th place. G2 doing them a favor.
Designful just kind of walks up on them there. Renegades are going to try and go for some sort of third party on this, but there's really not much more to be done. Yes, they've got the scan on 1, but a retreat is easy, and holding this is going to be even simpler, even though Renegades do have a lot of nades to throw out here. The Seer ult isn't going to do them a lot of favors, and I'd like to see Renegades disengage.
Yeah, Renegades doing exactly what you called for. They're going to back off, play this one a little bit safer. MJ goes down to the scout of NRG. That's Gildersins. They've been putting the scout to some serious work as we hop on board with the Sentinels to see what they're up to. A lot of fences being thrown down from Crust. No way anyone infiltrates this building, but a little bit of aggression over towards the bottom side. This is what you see happen in Stormpoint a lot. With these little buildings, you don't expect teams to coexist, but there's a decent amount of cover over here. A lot of boxes, a lot of different areas that you can go and play. And once one person's safe, you say, hey guys, I'm in a good spot. You're in a good spot until that black hole comes.
Nerfer, and they have a delicate balance right now of trying to get aggressive on teams so that nobody gets close to you, and also trying to stay meek enough that they don't get pushed on from the team right above them. Messiah, unfortunately, eating a little too much damage, is going to accidentally go down with a Gibby bubble on top of Nerf. Now there's almost nothing they can do as 3 people push in onto them. Only 1 is left. You've got to hope the squad on the other side of this can reset in time, as Sentinels, after having picked this engagement, are going to be the receivers of aggression from across the river. Even right now, I think Xenox ended up spotting the team that's coming in for the third party. A retreat up to the high ground is wise, as Mike and Ike are the ones to come in, clean up Messiah, finally taking him down, and Wizard Coin takes that reset for just a moment before they push up even further.
The thing about Sentinels is they don't know this is just a duo. Mike and Ike is playing huge right now. Boat and Wizard Coin have a lot of presence on the map. A little bit of a controller looting issue right there as you get stuck inside the box. Renegades going to pick up some kills onto Team Vizio. Borton and Blitz go down, but they lose out on Madness. Now the push from 100 Thieves, and this is what we've seen 100 Thieves do so well with their timing, with their presence on these third parties.
And with Vizio gone now, I'm wondering how 100 Thieves are going to continue to play this. They need access to that high ground. From here, things aren't looking too good. With 25 seconds left, they're going to take the long way around the scenic route and end up opening up the Horizon gravity lift to fight up on this high ground. Skirway not going to be able to make it just yet, but Onmu has managed to grapple his way up. Let's see if 100 Thieves can turn this high ground into an even better rotation. You're missing a mobility tool. You've still got to move yourselves over towards Mill.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if they're going to continue to stay up there. Are they safe on top of that rock, or was that a play to kind of get more height so they could skyward dive forward? And ESA, they got the memo. It's time to get out of here, find a safe place to go and play. Now, with multiple Valkyries in the air, what you're doing is you're looking for the other team to potentially get shot at so you could find the safe spot to play. Instead, they're going to play underneath this giant rock area for a little bit more cover. Sentinels with the grief on the door, almost caustic style, old school lifeline package blocking the door right there with a generator. You don't see that every day.
No, and since they've got this really nice blockage, the headache is alleviated for a little while. Having a team behind you doesn't have to be cleaned up immediately because they're so likely to take another path. Sentinels get to focus on hopefully doing what they do best and sitting up here, setting up a perimeter, and then taking fights from the high ground. This is a team that has had so much excitement around them throughout the course of their careers that only recently has started to slow down. If Sentinels can recoup here, it'll be a great day for them to demonstrate they are ready for ALGS Year 3. Sentinels do get that broken, however, and this is, I think, the expected transaction that was going to happen here. As soon as Esports Arena landed, NRG or 100 Thieves was going to kill them, and it ended up being both.
A lot of teams eliminated in your kill feed right there. Razor, ESA, NRG, they're out. Sentinels trying to stay alive over towards this slow ground. We've seen them rocking this Watson crust to perfection, basically, as now the push inside of the mill area comes, and that could be Tyson on the receiving end. Bubble is down for the next 15 seconds. You still have defensive bombardment in the back pocket. Z Davis going to answer with the PK. Crust comes right back. Now a 2-on-1. No batteries in the hands, though. There's the defensive bombardment coming in just in case any third parties come through, but it's a little bit too late as SAS with the lifeline now making their way through. It's the car combo for FaZe Snipe Down as he's returning to Apex in style today. 5th place, 30 points. Can they close this one out? They've already had a 2nd place performance. They put together some really solid games so far, and they've been just chomping at the bits, Dia, waiting to collapse on the mill.
SAS returned to the scene of the crime. Their first drop, and now the height that they own with no questions asked. Abralele ends up popping out, though, recognizing already that with the zone closing, they've got to be moving. He doesn't have a whole lot of health to work with. 2 more shots would do him in. Will Abralele be able to survive? Naughty cleans up one last member of Tyson. We're into our top 3. Remember, Abralele still has 20 health to his name, but apparently it's going to be enough to move SAS into the final zone. 100 Thieves, they're pulling out a res off on the side, and in between these top 3 squads, there's one solo that Naughty's just found.
Yeah, that's one member of Sentinels. Onmu going to come in and get some free loot, and that's going to be big for 100 Thieves, but they're already on top of it. 2 versus 3 coming in favor of SAS. It's just a matter of time before they close this out onto 100 Thieves. What a performance from SAS today. And on the lifeline, are you kidding me?
No
was it a
way.
mistake or was it planned to you?
You said at the beginning of the game, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more Lifeline and Ranked, especially if they win this game, and man, do they. What a scrappy way to do it as well. Aberlele risking it all on this rotation. Snipe down and Naughty following it up. Despite some early question marks in their fight up against NRG, they placed better than anyone and found themselves their first win of the day.
The patient play right there. Aberlele pushing on over towards the zone. Naughty with the cover. It was all executed flawlessly. The timing was just immaculate in terms of how they were approaching the situation over towards the mill. And that's what you hope for, right? You want to protect home advantage in terms of where the zone's going to pull. You know you can't play hyper aggressive because you don't have the typical legend pool that you're going for. But when Naughty needed to go and hit the reses on a snipe down, for example, early in the game when he gets hit with the scout from NRG, when they needed to heal Aberlele, when they needed to push into the mill for the third party, rotate on over towards the zone, focus Amu first of all before he could get on over towards that loot that Sentinels dropped over towards the bubble. Everything was so well done. But then again, you look at the way that 100 Thieves played that, and that was their typical style, right? They're still right in there. We're seeing, again, we're wondering which teams are going to kind of contest with that TSM and NRG. Don't forget about 100 Thieves. They're a world champion for a reason. And don't forget about Aberlele, Snipe Down, and Stay Naughty. These are tournament winners in the past, and they're showcasing it here today.
I think it's really impressive to see the way that 100 Thieves played that game, because things tend to get lost when we focus on the fact that, yes, there's only one champion squad at the end of every game of Apex Legends, but 100 Thieves still played this game with a lot of control. Despite the fact that they got second, they had a lot of kills. I dare say more than SAS had, and there's a chance that they actually got more points because of that, because of all their involvement in the rest of the lobby. ESA also actually doing pretty well as 100 Thieves pulling off a res near the end of the game were mirrored by ESA in the mid game, getting everybody right back into the fight.
This had so much action over here. This was that amazing 1v1 that took place with, oh, it was Reps, excuse me, Reps. I thought it was Verholz, and that's why the black hole ended up coming down. Enemy Go ends up winning this one, but then the third party came in from Mike and Ike. This was the most exciting 1v1 that we've seen in quite some time. I mean, the execution here from Enemy Go to toss the Arc Star right when the res was coming was perfectly executed. The knockdown shield coverage also really on point. But that is how you play Stormpoint, right? We saw so many opportunities for teams to go and collapse when they needed to. They, again, took a page out of, say, 100 Thieves book, Team Nerf's book. The teams that really loved a third party, that's the teams that are going to have success over here. And there was a squad that pushed in earlier that got kind of that 2-for-1. I think it was Team Esports Arena, collapsed on 2 fights at once, and they were able to pick up all of those kills.
We're thinking about third parties. I'm thinking Mike and Ike. Mike and Ike. They've done so well today. It feels like they're spawning on top of fights almost. Like they've just arrived suddenly as the fight has concluded. They've been doing really well, as of course have our other partnered squads. We'll get the chance to check in with them after we get back from hearing what Yeso thought of our first game on Stormpoint.
Back-to-back impressive games from 100 Thieves, but they don't win this time because it's SAS gatekeeping them from the back-to-back dubs. Somehow, SAS, I love, getting very involved in that fight inside of Mill, coming in for the third party and coming out clean despite the low health on Aberlele. They did a really good job in cleaning up that fight, and the fact that they come out as a full 3-man, still up, still alive, means that they're easily able to take care of business against 100 Thieves and grab the win. Let's take a look at their performance here in game number 4. Not, a huge game, but still picking up 6 KP is going to be really good for SAS to continue to try and climb up those standings, chase down the likes of TSM and 100 Thieves towards the top. But 6 kills here means an 18-point performance from SAS. Naughty leading the way in that kills department with 3 of his own. Let's take a look at our Mobile One high performance moment, and then we're going to check in with that cumulative leaderboard because I have some things to say about that. But we jump in a much earlier fight in the game. It's G2 here as we jump on board with Designful and doing work there with the car. Has plenty of light ammo and is looking to bust in the door here. And as the peak comes through and the black hole goes down, you get the matching black holes from both sides of this fight, and this is a fight that Intel desperately needs, but Designful just so clean, able to get the initial knock there onto Icy, gets the peek around the knockdown shield. That means that nobody is safe inside there despite the black holes coming through, and Designful almost single-handedly cleans up Intel in this fight. Very well played from Designful, very well played from G2 as a whole. And this is a team, kind of still trying to find itself right now post roster moves. Of course, Gent leaving the team, going to join Tripods. They've brought in Chaotic. I think they still can play a similar style to what they played with Gent, but they still have to kind of sort out how things work, and we'll see what they can do come start of Pro League. Let's talk about, though, that cumulative leaderboard here. We're going to bring it up for you right now, and I do have to note, we looked at it a little bit earlier, and I do have a little caveat here. We did have a bug in terms of our point calculations earlier on that we discovered. So you may notice some teams here with lower points than they had earlier. That's because we discovered that some math got messed up in terms of the leaderboard. It has been adjusted and corrected right now. So as of right now, these are your confirmed cumulative leaderboards for the Series E partnered squads. Mike and Ike ahead of Intel, but it is only a 9-point lead with 2 games remaining. So Intel still with a big opportunity here. They are right on the heels of Mike and Ike, but Intel has really not been able to get a whole lot done here tonight. Meanwhile, Nerf, who have again not had the most impressive of performances so far tonight, have still been able to build on their lead over Excedrin. They are up by 27 points, and with 2 games remaining, Nerf seem to be our favorites to take home a Series E championship. Would be Turns' first in 3 seasons of competing here in Series E. We'll check in with that once more at the end of our show today, but that is where things stand between our partnered squads. We're going to a quick break. Do want to give you a quick reminder of something awesome we are doing here at Esports Arena. We have had the pleasure to be able to partner with the Alzheimer Association to help support their efforts in combating that unfortunate disease. We have partnered with them, and if you go out and compete in Wednesday night fights at an Esports Arena in the last Wednesday of every month, 50% of proceeds are going to the Alzheimer Association. You can also use !donate in Twitch chat right now to get a link to donate to their cause, and we would certainly appreciate your support, and we of course appreciate the opportunity to get to work alongside them and continue their incredible efforts. So thank you so much to the Alzheimer Association. We are so happy to get to work alongside you. We're going to a quick break right now. When we come back, just 2 games remain before we end the season here with Series E Apex Legends. We'll have more action when we come back.
Tyson boneless buffalo bites have that tasty kick of flavor, so they're perfect for any get-together. If there are any left when your guests arrive. Tyson Anytizers Chicken. More kicks of flavor, more smiling snackers, more to love. Tyson.
Now, even the biggest headaches are toast.
Excedrin keeps your head in the game. For no more throbbing noggins.
Excedrin, game over for headaches.
For nothing, baby. Let's get in there.
Welcome back, kings and queens, to Series E Apex Legends. Dia and T-Squared are, of course, covering everything today. And with 4 games down, our 5th game is going to be starting really soon. Let's take a look at that Mobile 1 leaderboard, with NRG still on top, despite the fact that they didn't make top 3 that round.
And the pressure is on for Team Intel right now. They're sitting in last place. What's interesting is Excedrin, the team that was in first place in our cumulative leaderboard the entire time, is hand in hand with them right down there. This has not been their day, but you know what, Dia? They're only 9 points, I believe, behind. They can make that up in just a couple of kill points, a couple of placement points, and be right back in this thing. We knew it was going to go down to the final moments. We knew it was going to go down, even maybe down to the final fight. We're still on pace for that. One thing's for sure though, we're seeing the high-level play from these high-level teams. 100 Thieves, NRG, TSM, and surprisingly, SAS. I mean, it's not that surprising, but to me, I think it's so cool that they're playing as a team that's been a roster for years now. They're competing blow for blow with these big dogs that are signed under Tier 1 organizations. Here we go. Game number 5. 2 games remaining in Season 5 here. Game 5 underway on Stormpoint.
The individual skill and the team play have both had a chance to shine through today, as you were just illustrating with SAS, who are now populating Downed Beast, it seems. Pulling out the lifeline once again, so a return to victory. They went, all right, well, that worked out. Let's see if we can make it happen one more time. They'll have the opportunity to show us all that Lifeline is in fact the new meta as we get further on into this game, although I'm not sure whether they'll have such a nice zone this time around. Last time, it was actually pretty close to home. They managed to move their way up towards Mail. They're going to have to move a lot further this time because Antenna and Renegades are actually quite happy with where they're at right now.
This is huge for Team Intel. This is the opportunity that you're looking for. Sometimes you need to get a little bit lucky and you create your own luck. Intel needs to take this opportunity while getting Gale Station and Fish Farms. It 100% is going to pull down here. What I'm surprised at, though, is no one from Intel ends up hitting the immediate scan. No one lands on over towards Beacon. That's a small mistake, in my opinion. They don't know exactly where this zone is going quite yet, and it's going to take them about 30 to 45 seconds before they get that information. Meanwhile, teams are already going to be rotating, and that could leave Jet susceptible.
For example, Vizio already have this information, and they're somebody that could walk on over, take places like Gale Station away from you, push Jet all the way back to Intel, and make sure that you play from low ground. It's a game of, I think, often just milliseconds that ends up being determined in Apex Legends. And right now, landing zones are really quite important. SAS, as we already mentioned, are winners from last game. Will still have a little bit of caster bias on them, at least from my end. So I'm giving them benefit of the doubt. You know, we see any fight, I'm thinking, all right, SAS, they've got that extra confidence. Hopefully they'll be able to turn it into something. And their rotation down through likely Barometer might actually end up making use of some tridents to get into ring.
And you can see Team Intel right now hitting their loot paths. I don't believe they've even hit the scan on the beacon quite yet either, so it's still a little bit late. Round 1 is already closing, and they don't have the information that it is coming towards their way. And now Icy is making his way over towards the beacon. He's going to hit the scan, and you're going to see the urgency from Intel really start to skyrocket.
Yeah, they've still got Crafter here, double whites, and a few seconds more to craft those up into blues, especially if you're going to be playing center zone, would not be misplaced, since they've got so many resources that they can be using, trying to manage exactly what's going to be best for really sticking it out for the long haul, because Intel are going to pick a spot, and then hopefully they're going to be there until basically the end of the game.
The team they're trying to catch up to, that was on your screen temporarily, that was Team Mike and Ike. CLG taking a lot of damage. They're bailing one by one. They're a little bit staggered over here. Mamba's going to go for the battery. Nano elects to go for that Phoenix kit. So much damage on that Trident. Fortunate to get out of that situation, but the rotation has successfully worked out for them. If they need to go and hit the Skyward Dive from here, they should be able to do that as well. CLG has done a lot of different compositions on Stormpoint. We've seen Bangalore, Bloodhound. Now they're going with something a little bit more in terms of the meta with Seer, Horizon, and Valkyrie. Same composition that Mike and Ike is utilizing. You can see no player outlines for them, but they still have to be aware of their surroundings. First fight of the game, it's going to be Complexity moving in. They do have an armor advantage. We'll see if they're going to continue to push through the Seer ultimate. It looks like they're taking a lot of damage. Big guy getting ripped. This is going to be Renegades. The res coming in from Newcastle. Only a gray knockdown shield. Madness getting lit up on over towards the side, and he gets answered right back from Lux.
Why? So many questions as we run through the open ground. Vizio, they know some shenanigans is going down over here, and they've got Scan to reveal it to them as well. Not a whole lot of health. They can just turn the corner, get this knock. Big guy is now gone, and it was a conclusion that we all knew we were coming to, as Vizio now get the opportunity to push both squads out of this building, if it hasn't already happened.
Smart to go and toss the Horizon black hole on over towards the door so it can break. Now coming around from the backhand side while the teammates push in from the low ground. Big spray onto Luda. Nasty plays from Borton. Only takes about 25 damage. That's how you hit him with the trades. And Vizio coming in, playing cleanup. They still have a couple kills to clean up, though, on the other side if they want to.
Never in my life did I think I'd see that happen to Luda. Somebody take that 1v1 up against him and take him out. But this is exactly, I think, the showcase that we're looking for on our Series E partnered squads. Since we've got Burton already performing so well, we'll see if they can do the same up against Complexity, who already have lost 2 members, and Lux, who could be looking for a little bit of shenanigans. I think he's heard. With this syringe going off, I'd be hesitant to stick around for too long there, Lux.
Yeah, Lux with that initial burst onto Madness, defending his teammates, now trying to, until the very end, get these guys back into it, but it's not enough. Vizio with the well-timed third party, and we were talking about this before, very reminiscent of what happened with ESA's third party, where they're able to take down both teams. That's exactly what Vizio did, and sometimes that's why it's a little bit iffy taking that first fight of the game. You don't necessarily know where those third parties are going to come from.
With Razor playing the opposite end of things, they're going up against Exedrin right outside of Barometer, a rotation that we said was likely going to be prioritized by other teams coming from that easternmost side. Barometer provides you a lot of cover, some good high ground, and every once in a while, a replicator or a beacon to work with as well. Dangle Bojangle ends up popping down onto this low ground, and we'll see if Exedrin are going to be able to clean up this Maggie that right now is just being so elusive, giving him the bamboozle. Dangle does manage to find a little bit of damage, but Cody's already gone down. Kimchi Lee's bit the dust, and now we've got a Horizon sitting in a 1v2 who just cannot catch a break. What an incredible play from Sang to be able to stay alive for that long, and we'll see if it ends up working out for them. If this Horizon is going to be able to stay alive, or if she'll pull out the Uno reverse card, as Sang's already gone down. Now from above, you're being shot at by Horizon. Imperial Howl's gone down in the meantime and fight up against Mike and Ike. Wizard Coin dealing that deadly blow in a 2v2 with the ring ticking away at you is going to put MJ in a really tough spot. Grenades are going to have to fly in to finish this kill off. Instead, MJ will find a nice bit of healing as Wizard Coin's able to recover, and Verholst just barely able to get that syringe off in time as well. But oh, with the heal cancel and the scan, yeah, things are looking iffy. This is going to be Verholst biting the dust, and TSM, they're out in 16th T-squared.
MJ needs to hit a syringe. Can he get this one off in time? This is big. Mike and I going up against TSM and getting the syringe off. The heals are coming through. And if that doesn't give you confidence, Dia, I don't know what will.
This is the Mike and Ike that I've been so excited about throughout the course of this season, and especially in this last day of Series E Season 5. They've looked so good, and now they get to dial that in, knowing that they've taken out one of arguably the best squads in the lobby. Great play from ESA as well, as they manage a 3v3, trying to make this as much in their favor as possible, grabbing that high ground, throwing out the black hole, but they still manage to lose one. This is bad news bears for Esports Arena, even going into this 1v2. The fact that they lost one just there put them on the back foot. Nice crack.
Wow.
Oh my god. That was NRG.
The tracking
oh my god.
was insane. TSM and NRG. First place NRG, third place TSM. Both dropped by Esports Arena teams here. It was ESA taking out NRG. TSM gets dropped by Mike and Ike. But the big question is how will Intel fare in this final zone? They are playing over towards the southern side, right over off of the fish farms area. We know the zone pulled over towards where their landing spot is. While they may not be getting the kills on the edge like Mike and Ike is, they are hoping that Mike and Ike eventually falls in some sort of team fight or eventual third party. They're also picking up some kills long range with the Scout and Hemlock from inside of the building. So this is big for Team Intel as well.
100 Thieves starting to rack up those kills. They're a team that still is looking to make their name in this lobby. Already have that second place spot. Have pushed TSM out of the top 3. If they can work their way up even further, it'd be a great way to finish off this season for them. A season that has been full of strife for them in Series E Season 5. Intel sat in their own position, are playing this so scared. T-Squared, I can feel how weird today has been for them, how confidence shaking it must be to be eliminated so quickly in this first game, and then to be able to be making things up from 19th to try and be in those top 4 squads. Intel are sweating bullets.
Before this game started, they were down 9 points to Mike and Ike for that 4th place position. Bottom 3 get relegated, top 4 move in. Intel was in the lead for so long, up until today when they had their spot taken. Looking at the resources, 4 batteries, 5 cells, more than enough to go and continue to add pressure on, but you got to be careful here that you don't lose a lot of your health meds, because once you start running out of your health meds, you're going to be in a little bit of a tough spot. Maybe need to call Naughty on that lifeline in to hit those heals, but this is their opportunity, Dia, to really prove themselves as we take a look at Mike and Ike and what the rotation is going to be. Round 2 closing, they have plenty of meds to make their way forward. Pings are going down on top of the wall. Zip lines being used as well by tripods, so they could be meeting up over here very shortly, but you can also see Mike and Ike is just waiting in the wings to potentially pounce on this one. It's dangerous fighting this far into the zone. Have to almost wait for your skyward dive to come up. Oh, someone's hopping on the crafter. This is the opportunity to pop off. MJ a little bit overzealous in terms of how he wanted to push this one, but he's going to send it Tom Brady style with the black hole on over towards the replicator. Running low on meds, though, and that's what that replicator is going to be so useful for overall.
Boat holding down the line off on the right-hand side. He's got a lot of damage flying in his way, and he's going to need to pop that med kit soon. Nope, never mind. He's not going to get it as soon as that shot hits. Gent has essentially taken him down. Things are not looking good for our Mike and Ike lads who picked that fight on the replicator. With Wizard Coin also lacking shields, every damage that he gets taken is going to stick. MJ's got to run for the hills, and Mike and Ike have been thoroughly repelled. Nice knock again from Gent as he single-handedly saves tripods.
Single-handedly saves them and almost ruins the Mike and Ike dream for this game, knowing that Team Intel is in the final zone. Dude, it just sets things up for this final game. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We still have a lot to play for here. We don't know if MJ is going to be able to survive, but now he's running down over towards the zone, gets caught out. That's Nick Merckx, actually, so an opportunity to potentially run back and get these banners or at least survive if you are MJ. He doesn't really have many heals, but ESA is full sending this one over towards the backhand side. Intel continuing to get more knocks as well.
Nothing to lose here. Shouldn't be any other squads coming in. That's what Esports Arena are hoping for. As Nick Merckx does get fully finished off. Check out the kill feed as well. Intel are showing up at the same time as Mike and Ike lose members, lose heals, lose the ability to really impact this game, and now attract attention from Esports Arena. Intel are starting to get themselves some much-needed points, and this could be the game where we get that other Uno reverse card, where Intel managed to usurp the top spot away from Mike and Ike, pushing themselves into 4th, into contention for next season. Banner's going to be picked up by Mike and Ike. We'll see if they can get those reses, or if they get gate-kept even further, as CLG, who have had a difficult day, end up turning things around and taking out Vizio.
Clean fight there. Dimmy going to close things off right there. And here comes Sentinels. We've seen them use this on Stormpoint before. Instead of playing Gibby, it's the Revenant. Ghosties coming through a little bit early. Halloween's not till next month, but they're still trying to scare the rest of this lobby, and that's going to be Mamba getting dropped. Dimmy still alive for the team, getting sent back to that totem. The death totem proved useful right there for that initial knock, but can they get back in to finish the kills?
Sure, if they're going to want to traverse all this territory. The spot that Sentinels are in right now makes it so difficult to access any other fight, which
Mike and Ike's out.
There we go. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is it. I think you called it T-squared. This is the Intel angle right now. They see that notification just like everyone else. Even in anonymous mode, you do know when a team, a specific team, has been eliminated. So getting that notification is going to be the biggest change in Intel's favor when it comes to this mental game that Apex Legends become. 100 Thieves up on this high ground have an excellent spot for the final ring, though, and are going to be looking down on Intel as well as, I will say, everyone else. And with Vaxlon finding a knock onto Resulta, another knock going on to Crow, 100 Thieves are cleaning up from on top.
And this is what 100 Thieves and teams like Energy, TSM do so well. That's why they're sitting at the top of the leaderboard, is the way that they manipulate the map in their advantage, whether they have to play the high ground or take low ground when they need to. It's all about the experience in the rotations that they just do so well. Meanwhile, ESA with a skirmish inside of the building over here. Looks like the black hole is going to go down. This is going to be gentrifying with the knock with the R301 in hand. I believe they were able to get Nick Merckx back up too. That's why you saw the res coming through as the skyward dive was happening from MJ's point of view. Fury taking a lot of damage. Fortunately for Fury, that zone isn't collapsing quite yet. Still a minute and 30 on this one, but they're still putting in some serious damage. Wingman PK for Phony, and it's connecting.
Phony's done so much right now, but pushing out with 100 Thieves looking down on you is really difficult. Great interrupt with this Seer as a nade ends up flying in. It stops Phony for a little while, allows a heal to go off on the other side. Will this Thermite connect for enough damage? Nice ticks end up starting off, and Phony, it's the beginning of the end for the squad in front of him. I'm almost certain of it. Peacekeeper Wingman in hand. Esports Arena are playing this so slowly, and Tripods are getting a little bit antsy. Gent wants to pick this fight. He's got to be careful. 100 Thieves still up on that high ground. Tripods are doing well.
Tripods doing well as just a duo. They weren't able to get Nick Merckx back up. Excuse me on that one. I thought we saw the respawn come through, but it wasn't the case, as now the push is starting to come through. Deeds needs to help out because the focus is on gentrifying almost immediately. There goes the answer with the Volt coming through. Multiple players are going to be weak. The knockdown shield being used, and if you haven't seen the tweet from Nicewig, this is exactly how those fights go. Phony Ed with the massive damage during that fight. You thought maybe for a second Tripods had this one, but a great job of swinging on a gentrifying.
My lord, it was so ridiculously close, and to see Phony be able to clutch it up on that Seer gives me hope for Esports Arena in this game. They might be able to turn things around even as a two-man. 100 Thieves have given up their height, and there's no better time for ESA to rotate in than when this is happening. With Skirby taking height right now, ultimate height, I dare say, there's going to be a lot of pain raining down, and especially onto Joey Blackout, who's ended up eating it, has ended up signaling the final deaths of Tyson in this 5th game of the day.
Tyson getting fried right there. 100 Thieves again. The map usage from Scurry. The damage with the flatline. The push immediately. Now they're going for more blood. Amu with the R301 onto Phony. Kraber in hand there for Vaxon. They're going to go for the flush instead. One player is fairly weak on the opposite side. G2 going down in your kill feed. And that should be all she wrote for Esports Arena as well. Like you said, trying to do this as just a duo. Didn't have the mobile respawn beacon in hand. No reses in play either, so a tough situation for ESA. But 100 Thieves continues to show their presence on the map.
And 100 Thieves have such a good position. Unfortunately for them, the ring is pulling to the opposite end, but still on this height, they've retained a lot of control. Take a look at who's in the ring, though, and Oxygen are actually looking pretty good. They've got an excellent spot, albeit one that is going to be really hard to hang on to when, inevitably, teams start looking your way.
A sliver of the building is in for Team Intel. They're going to be safe for the next zone. This is an opportunity to pick up some kill points as teams will have to rotate directly towards them. CLG taking a skirmish on the outside over here. Smart job from Nano to take on over towards the skies, but Dimmy needs to heal throughout all this. While that happens, Vaxon from behind, Sentinels from the front, and the pinch is on, as now you can see a lot of damage is going back on over towards the Sentinel side. And look at the teamwork from Sentinels, tossing the armors on over. No major meds, so they're going to have to find some med kits off of the death boxes, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Vaxon not able to connect with his Kraber shots. I believe he's running really low on ammo. If not, he's already out, so he's going to have to swap his weapons here very shortly. But the high ground positioning from 100 Thieves, this is what they do so well. They check their backs, they make sure all of the action's in front of them, and then they rotate in.
Well, at least before he swapped out the Kraber, he managed to get that headshot, managed to eliminate another team. 6 squads left, and we talked about how 100 Thieves have a long rotation in front of them. Intel, they've just got to defend for right now. Make sure that their building is not the juiciest target. With no door, things do get a little bit more complicated, but Rambo is doing an excellent work making sure that they might be able to pick up some KP if this other squad is a little bit late on the rotation, doesn't get in ring in time. Sentinels have managed to get in ring, however, as they, holding on this low ground, have a really risky spot, but one that's made so much better by Watson.
And that was an opportunity for Intel to pick up some much-needed kill points. I don't think they were able to find it. Nerf getting eliminated in 6th place. You can see one of the knuckle clusters actually hit the window. So he decided to open the door right there. Not what you were looking for Team Intel. Missed opportunity there is now 100 Thieves trying to close out what's been an amazing game. SAS is looking for back-to-back dubs. Naughty taking a lot of damage. Needs to throw down his Q if he has it. He's going to go for the shield cell instead. Sniped down with an amazing sky grenade throughout all this, trying to stay alive, using the head glitch too from the 100 Thieves side. I cannot believe Naughty has stayed alive throughout all of this. Where is Team Intel? It's a full five-man 3-on-3 situation over here. And SAS is not even getting third-partied at the time. 100 Thieves going out in 5th place. Could it be back-to-back for SAS? Lifeline is in the meta. You're seeing it here.
I guess so. I mean, they're all on slivers of health. Intel see it happen, and they're still in this building, biding their time. They know points are everything. If you make second, you absolutely get 9 points. Taking a look at their kills, they've already got 2 of them. They need just a little bit more to overtake Mike and Ike. Sentinels sitting in front of them. SAS absolutely staring down Intel right now with no Gibby, no Newcastle, no cover, and no forgiveness. They are going to run across this water, and we'll see if Intel survive. A little bit of visual clutter provided by Jet as they eat the silence, but largely have managed to live all the way to here. Oxygen now pushing up a little bit, making sure that they are not the ones that get aggressed on as SAS starts swinging on Intel, making sure that Intel have to play this one scared. I cannot believe that they're alive right now.
That silence feels like it lasts forever. You can see Naughty took a lot of damage on over towards the side. Smart move from Jet to try to take on over towards this high ground over where the bins are. But Rambo not covering the left angle because he knows that SAS is over in the vicinity. Things are getting wild here. You have Oxygen, you have Team Intel, SAS, Sentinels staying live with this Death Totem. And what can you do with the Death Totem in this type of situation? Will they get aggressive and get wild on the Sentinel side?
There's no way that Oxygen choose to pick a fight with Intel right now. Looks like EMP was being channeled, but ended up getting canceled for the moment. Intel need information desperately, but you only get 1 seer ult in this end game. Nice pop-up from Icy. Might be the nail in the coffin for Oxygen, as now interrupts on those heals as well are going to make things so difficult. Hit the ult, Rambo. It would do so much, but it gets canceled as he has to grapple on up towards the top. There goes the ultimate finally from Intel, providing them even more information on the squads in front of them. SAS have recognized Intel are a massive threat in this lobby, and they've got no more room to play. Out comes the black hole. SAS are going to eat nades, are going to eat that black hole, and Intel are still up as Jet gets eliminated. We're into the top 2, and Sentinels come up with that Revenant ultimate right on over the top to wipe SAS off the face of this map and take themselves a win.
We're in a situation now, Dia, where we could be tied between Team Intel and Team Mike and Ike in the final game of Season 5 to find out who is going into Season 6. Sentinels taking the dub, but the storylines couldn't be better here for our final match. What a game from all of our teams. I mean, a little bit sloppy with the knuckle clusters, with the ultimate, maybe the pressure getting to Team Intel a little bit, but they did a decent job of securing a little bit of points, especially in terms of placement, a couple of kills along the way to make this a very competitive final moment.
They knew what they were prioritizing, right? It was staying alive the whole time. While other teams were out here trying to take fights, looking for third parties, Intel's focus was solitary, and it was simply on not being the focus of attention. They did so well doing that, even in the final zone, as we got to watch this bamboozle again. This was, I think, a really unfortunate time for Exedrin, because they essentially just lost a player to chasing a Maggie for way too long.
Yeah, and Razor was going to win this fight, but then the third party came through. This is the fight with Mike and Ike and TSM. Boat goes down to the zone right here after putting some decent damage down. MJ clutches this one out with a syringe and res at the final moment, but they ended up being taken down in the zone by the tripods, gentrifying with that R301. Eventually, they died to the zone. Esports Arena was in the vicinity. You thought maybe if MJ had enough meds that they were going to be able to get out of that situation. That just wasn't the case. What a final game we're going to have set for us. You really can't ask for anything better over here. We saw highlights from 100 Thieves. We saw Sentinels going nutty on Revenant. We got Lifeline from SAS in here. What is going on?
If they pull it out for Game 3, it's just simply meta. It's their read on it at that point. Esports Arena, of course, playing really well, not only taking out NRG, but doubling back for tripods and dealing the death blow to Mike and Ike by making sure they weren't able to get that secondary banner recovery. Esports Arena did a lot of work in making sure that there were not going to be a lot of teams joining us in the end game. And even when we got close to that end game, still clutched it up on the low ground up against those very same squads.
See a lot of people flooding into the chat here. A lot of support coming in for Sentinels. If you guys are just joining us, welcome to Series E. Welcome to the final day of Season 5. The action has been non-stop. We started on World's Edge. Now we're ending on Storm Point, and only 4 teams are making it in. Is it going to be Intel? Is it going to be Mike and Ike? Let's toss this one to Yesa before we close out the season.
A big win for Sentinels as they come out of all of the chaos there at the end in Fish Farms. They grab the victory here in game number 5. Also, I would say not a surprise that we saw SAS and 100 Thieves once again back in the mix in the late game here, but it is Sentinels that come out in the top, or on top in the end. Let's take a look at their performance here. 6 kills for the squad. Senox leading the way in the kills, but the damage was Aquafina buzzed down with over 1,300 damage there. I don't know how I feel about them pulling out the Revenant. It worked. Kind of toxic, but do what you got to do, Sentinels. It earned you a win in this game. And this takes us right to our Mobile One high performance moment. And this was actually a moment from Intel, though it is kind of parlays into the final fight. It's Intel applying so much pressure here. And we heard T-Squared and Dia talking about how long Intel waited to rotate up here to kind of Fish Farms proper. But I think it's actually a really good read here from Intel, because what you notice here is most of the time when zones pull to Fish Farms proper, teams don't play up top. They play down low. They play underneath the grates for the cover that they provide. So Intel actually biding the time, I think, is them recognizing, hey, we could get up here, and just playing up against the edge is actually a great position, because you saw as soon as Oxygen tried to play up on the higher ground in Fish Farm, they got punished for doing so. And so I think that is really well played from Intel, and also just Sentinels biding their time so perfectly. But of course it is the initial push here from Intel, applying a ton of pressure to Oxygen here, and it helps them pick up a couple of extra KP late in the fight while they're dealing with Oxygen on one side and SAS on the other. And they laid down a ton of utility. You see the Motherload attempted to come out there. Now it comes out here from Rambo. But the problem is Intel just don't have enough space with the way the zone is closing, and SAS does such a good job punishing them as soon as they go for these peaks. Jet is the last hope here for Intel, does throw out the late black hole, does throw out some utility there at the end to try and clean up, does in fact get the knock there onto Staynati, but it is Sentinels that come out with the win amidst all of the chaos in that final circle. I was going to wait until after game 6, but with the way Intel played there, we have to look at it now. I need the cumulative standings. We have to set the stage for our final game of the season, because the battles have been raging all season long, and it's ultimately going to come down to one final game for a big race on the standings. Nerf look poised to win it all. 30 points separating Excedrin and Nerf here. Excedrin could do it, but it would take an unreal performance from the squad to steal the championship away from Nerf. But the biggest race is in 4th place. Mike and Ike at 1,003 points. Intel right on their heels, giving themselves an incredible opportunity in this final game of the season. What a day it has been, and we do not have any answers yet on how our standings will end up here for Season 5 of Series E Apex Legends. It has been such an incredible day. I'm so happy that it is coming down to the literal final game of the season. You could not ask for better storylines than that. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, T-Squared and Dia will check in on our Mobile One leaderboard. We'll see where everybody stands, and then we will drop onto Storm Point for one final time this season. We'll see you when we come back.
Welcome back to the pregame of the final game of Season 5. Dia and T-Squared will be taking you through it. Before we get into it, let's take a look at that Mobile 1 leaderboard to see where everything's sorting out. T-Squared, we got a lot of narratives to touch on. Where do you want to go first?
3 points, you know, not just 3 points I want to make. The 3 points that we're talking about in terms of the differential for who's making it into the next season, who's not. $750 a month, that's what each of the players are getting to be on these partner squads. Not only that, the constant practice, the camaraderie, the confidence that you get, getting to avoid the relegation process, continuing with your partnered squad. It's everything for these players in terms of their Apex livelihood, and I cannot wait to see who's going to make it. Going to be heartbroken for a little bit, you know, in terms of these teams, but I really feel like they have what it takes to go through that relegation process. We're seeing so much from Team Intel, a lot of fight, a little bit of nerves coming in from both squads. Mike and Ike dying to the zone in the previous game, MJ trying to clutch it out. Surprisingly, that happened after they win a team fight against TSM, which you thought, this is it for Mike and Ike. They're going to steamroll the lobby. They're going to gain so much confidence. But then Intel's waiting in the wings for the final zone. Now, speaking of the zone, it's going to be so important where this zone does pull. So we're going to be on board with Intel and Mike and Ike a lot throughout this game so we could go through the motions of finding out who's making it into the next season.
This is going to be really down to the wire, and I'm really hoping that we get something kind of like Game 1, where it's these teams that decide each other's fate, as the RNG gods are going to be dictating who gets favored for the actual zone. As you were alluding to earlier, Intel really did roll well last game, being able to sit at fish farms the entire time. They had their pick of the litter when it came to spots to play until endgame. They made it work super well. This time, I don't believe they have a beacon. I don't think they'll have that additional information, and they'll have to get moving real fast.
Just imagine if one of these teams was to say, you know what, I'm going to full send it to your POI. And let's just go 50-50. Let's just get it out of the way. Who's going on over the next season? Or if we just get a final fight between these two teams, because that's going to be the differential in terms of the points. Now it's a southern zone, so we can see where everybody's going to be located. All the way in High Point, that's where MJ, Wizard Coin, and the rest of the squad have to make their way down past teams like G2, 100 Thieves, Sentinels, TSM. A tough rotation for Team Mike and Ike.
Alrighty, nice damage from Wizard Coin. Just sitting up here, waiting on that next rotation they're going to have to make. For the moment, it's not going to be too dangerous for anyone with so many squads knowing this is their final game. And with this not being the only battle that's being fought in this lobby, there's a lot of incentive to go for fights. We think about it, and it's not just the battle between Mike and Ike and Intel. There's also a massive battle for first going on right now on the final day.
And the shots were ringing down, I believe, over towards TSM, which I don't think they're going to be too happy about. TSM may consider full setting over here and kind of ruining the hopes of dreams, especially when you look at the armor situation. Hal on this Seer, switching off from Horizon as he was playing originally on World's Edge. And what's going to be the play here for TSM? Are they going to go on over towards this high ground and mess with Mike and Ike, or are they going to focus on the rotation? Because like you said, there is still that battle for first place in that overall leaderboard. It's a 2-point difference from first and third. 100 Thieves, NRG, SAS, all neck and neck. TSM, you can see in the left hand of your screen, they are fourth place with 42 points. It's been one heck of a day, one heck of a night. Our final game of Season 5 coming down to the wire. Couldn't imagine it being any closer here. 100 Thieves, they're not looking too good on the loot situation there, Dia.
No, not so much, and it's not what you expect when you land Command Center. I remember a lot of people prioritizing this POI when the map first dropped, when Storm Point was all anyone could talk about, but having to move out into the open area just off to the south of Command Center can be really punishing, especially with how many squads like to lay in wait there. Instead, I like this prioritization. 100 Thieves get the opportunity to go out up to the north, and if they want, if this is the choice that 100 Thieves want to make, they can also drop down onto the low ground underneath Vaxlon and start picking up a few of those Prowlers, a few of these Spiders, to make their path into the end game as seamless as possible.
Yeah, that's a great point. The Spiders are so useful in terms of being able to get that loot up, and taking a look at that overhead camera to find out where the next fight could take place. Renegades starting to make their way on over towards potentially Team Razor. It looks like Luda's going to take on over towards the Sky, and they're going to go for the Skyward Dive instead. It's a little bit risky, and how does that not connect? Instead, Luda just gets absolutely destroyed. Two teams collapsing. Complexity says hello.
Just getting interrupted in a totally different way. That was a really unfortunate way to die. And Complexity, having pushed Renegades out of all of Season 5 now, they won't get another chance at this. Sentinels are looking to do exactly the same thing. We've already got one team gone. Who will be the next to exit from Series E Season 5? Sentinels do still have this Rev Ultimate up. They're not using it just yet, instead waiting on this siege, and if they see another team enter the arena, our Sentinels going to be the ones to back off, to wait.
Sentinels and playing patient happens rarely, maybe in the final zones, but they love to get aggressive, and that's why they are griefing the lobby with the Death Totems, with the Revenant. Watson as well in the back pocket for Crust, and he's been playing phenomenal on this Legend. But winners of the previous game are just going to kind of back off, realize the situation, start setting up a little bit later as they go through the antenna area. Tough break there for Renegades. I mean, it looked like the right move for a second. I was like all about it. I was like, all right, yeah, I like getting on over towards this high ground. Seems like this is a good move, and then boom, Complexity coming in. I don't think I've ever seen a squad get wiped that fast.
So it's so quick, and Valkyrie especially feels really bad when somebody's just got you dialed in when they know the number of the Valkyrie ultimate, because you're melted. There's nothing you can do. As players alongside it, it's just one of those cooldowns that can swing a game, and it certainly did. Sentinels, having made their way all the way around the outside from the initial rotation they wanted to take, we've been on board with them almost the entire time, are going to have access to Barometer, and interestingly enough, the building that we saw fought over just last time by Razor, the squad that is just there right now, sitting on the bubble building right outside of Jurassic Park.
Yeah, these bubble buildings are a decent cover, but very easily pushed in terms of Horizon going in there and shooting down the black hole. Complexity with a nice rotation towards the backhand side. SAS getting eliminated by CLG.
Whew.
That was your team in third place, so NRG and 100 Thieves got a little bit more breathing room by the hands of the 7th place squad with 34 points. Make that 37 now after picking up those kills. Complexity still on the run over here. Shiny taking a lot of damage behind the wall. Arcstar very well placed. It's going to be Dangle Bojangle with the angles coming out here. And the shots from Kodagami, Excedrin starting to heat up over here. It hasn't been their day, as you can see. And surprisingly, this is your team in second place in that cumulative leaderboard. Again, just showing you how competitive Series E has been this season. Anybody's game right now. But the big storylines, Team Intel, Team Mike and Ike. Intel down 3 points to Team Mike and Ike to try to fight in for their next season, secure their spot into Series E. And if you're looking to get involved, the qualifiers are happening in a couple weeks, so at Esports Arena on Twitter, make sure you give them a follow to stay up to date if you want to try to get involved in Series E.
Yeah, if you're looking at this competition and thinking, man, I sure would like to do that, we've been talking about the talent pipeline that Series E has provided for so many players, and the opportunities that you can get to compete with top-tier talent, become top-tier talent yourself. Intel sitting around the outside right now. They've been on that top-tier grind, but on the point of relegation, on the point of having to compete for their partner spot once again. They're not playing as safe this game as they were last. Instead, opting for a little bit more open ground, a little bit more cheeky play to try and get themselves some much-needed KP.
You could see the hesitation from Icy there. Like, he wants to go and take those shots, but he knows if he just overextends a little bit, he's going to get punished. The scout, certainly in meta after being taken out of the package and back onto the ground. Looks like they're both rocking the scout here, but nobody really getting the trades that they needed. Fortunately for them, they do have the armor, they do have the resources. That gold armor from Rambo is going to be huge.
Taking a look at TSM and the kill feed. They've already lost Verhulst right now. It is to a charge rifle, so there's a chance to recover with TSM on the back foot, and an ult forced to be expended. Hal going low as well. We could see the end of one of our favorite squads going into the day. Our team that won the very first game. It is a one-man stand for reps on this rock, and we've seen this story before with Nerf chasing him down. There is just nothing that TSM can do. Nerf do get shot from the side, though, and Designful ends up picking up a knock as we've got turns very, very trapped in a bunch of plants. TSM do go down first. The second squad is sure to follow as Nerf, just like that, bite the dust alongside them.
Really nice job from G2 coming in with the well-executed third party onto Nerf, onto TSM. You saw the gold knockdown res coming in for reps, but it just wasn't enough. Hal, the lone defender, as he was going for the res there. Then the scout connecting onto Force. Force flew in and was a force to be reckoned with during that fight, but unfortunately for Nerf, they have to sit here and watch from G2's point of view as they continue to loot up over here. Let's take a look at Team Intel. Let's take a look at Team Mike and Ike, see where the rotations are going to be just temporarily. And there it is, the rotation from Team Intel coming in around the corner with the Trident. Zone is kind of ticking away here, but Rambo does have the gold armor, so they're going to be A-okay. And this is so intense right now, Dia. They're going back on over to the replicator to continue to get more loot. I love this play, actually, from Team Intel.
It's really smart. They're stalling out, basically having to engage with the rest of the game. We're not even in placement point territory yet, but Mike and Ike, they're playing it totally differently. We're getting polar opposites in the styles of these teams that want to try and make it into next season. And with Mike and Ike on the verge of being able to do so, they've just got such a different mood to them. When it all comes down to the wire, Intel, they are playing so much safer, and Mike and Ike are saying, you know what, it's do or die.
Mike and Ike loves the team fight. That's their style. Designful. He's busting out the Ash. Very popular in Stormpoint, but hasn't seen much in terms of tournament play. This is going up against 100 Thieves. Nox coming in on both sides. Chaotic going to go with the battery right next to Designful as well. There goes the black hole coming in from 100 Thieves. Knockdown shield usage not going to be there because Vaxxon's already pushed, and it gets countered right back from Chaotic, but it doesn't connect as much as he was hoping for. Immediately dispersed out, but it does connect onto Scurry. It's a 1v1 situation. Gold knockdown res coming through as well.
Oh my God.
This should give a huge advantage going forward. He stops the res and pushes on over towards Vaxxon. I thought he had the res instead. The zone closing in as well. This is intense right now. G2 with a huge advantage, though.
Vax did get that Thermite. Chaotic Munch takes to the skies. Is actually unshootable for just a second. His feet hanging down. And Mike and I come in for the third party, taking out 100 Thieves, finding themselves yet another knock, and likely the end of G2, as there should only be one more member left alive. Mike and I came in to collect that KP, and they extend the gap between themselves and Intel.
And they're hunting him down right now. They know how much 1 point matters. It's a 3-point differential as Nick Merckx goes down to the charge rifle from Team Excedrin. That's going to be Kimchi Lee. The hunt is on for the last player from G2, and they have found him in the corner. Mike and Ike continuing to add pressure, and they're able to do it, add more points onto their total. The thing about Team Intel is they don't know that was Mike and Ike picking up those kills. They only see who was eliminated. Back on board with Team Intel again. 3 points for separating them after that. It's going to be around 6 points. Still completely feasible for Team Intel, but they have to make their way on over towards the zone here very soon.
1 minute left on this zone close as well. Without a Valkyrie to push them any further in, they're going to be making the rest of this journey on foot and with very few meds after a little while. Yes, they've got med kits, but man, oh man, is it going to be difficult, especially with other squads like Excedrin keeping a lookout. Is anyone even looking towards zone anymore? Because if they are, this Intel squad is dust.
And you could see they're a little hesitant to take the Trident. They want to foot it in, but it makes me worry that if they don't take that Trident over towards the very edge, they may not make it into the zone, right? Here's the zone on the very opposite side, so they do get in. And this is about as safe as you could possibly play. They do get some scans, but you could see the hesitation. They don't want to take any fights. They want to play this similar to they did in the previous game where they got third place, got those placement points, and watched Mike and Ike take themselves out of the game with their early aggression. But Mike and Ike already with some kill points, very far from the zone. Two polar opposites in terms of play styles, as you mentioned before. And I love the way that Intel's played this. I mean, both teams really showcasing what their play style's about.
Intel are likely going to be forced to engage now as the squad ahead of them knows what's up. The jig is up, metaphorically, and Intel don't have a whole lot of choices. CLG
double missile
losing
swarm
two to
knock.
them. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a good ability right there. Nice job, Cody.
It only does 25 damage. The fact that he does that means that they had them on the ropes. Nice job from the knuckle cluster coming in from Rambo. Doesn't hit the wall or the window this time. Actually goes for the door. And griefing that one is going to be huge to open up angles and also cut off the aggression by the enemy team.
Losing 100 health for that trade. I'm watching this gold shield like a hawk, because it is a trade-off in terms of the sustainability. Rambo needs to be able to stay up and active in most of these fights. Can't be dipping out. Mike and Ike definitely staying active as we see another Horizon ult just disappear in front of our eyes. Great focus fire from the other side, but Mike and Ike aren't done yet. Wizard Coin takes a lot of damage on this rotation over, and he could be in a lot of trouble. Trying to round the corner on this tree. Gets a nice scan. Arc Star will stop the rotation from Mike and Ike, but they still get the knock on to Sang. This is another squad in the sights of Mike and Ike, and as Sang gets completely thirsted, completely finished off, Mike and Ike aren't done yet. They jump on forward, pick up some nice arc stars that somebody left them on the ceiling as Blanku gets melted by Boat, and Mike and Ike are going to be cleaning up another squad. Razor explode in a blaze of glory, and their 5th season is over.
Mike and Ike just melting Team Razor right there. Unfortunate for Team Razor, they go out as the 7th place team in that cumulative leaderboard, but this is the squad to watch next to Team Intel, and they felt the confidence. You could see it oozing once they pushed out over towards the side. They recognized how separated the enemy team was. Now it's up to Team Intel to win their fight. Rambo taking a lot of damage. All the members without any shields from Team Intel.
No, Eccentric from above as well. So much damage on Intel, and with just Icy left, you're seeing their hopes at Season 6 disappear before their eyes. Sentinels get sent back to the totem, but it is temporary reprieve as from behind, Eccentric eliminate Intel. They send him to relegations, and we'll be seeing you in Season 6.
Your heart breaks for Team Intel right there. They did everything they could. They avoided the fights, but this is such a competitive lobby, and Mike and Ike is here to play. They're here to stay. They fought from the bottom of the leaderboard, and they secure their spot in the next season of Series E. Congratulations to Mike and Ike, but we still have more games in front of us over here. They lose out on Boat, but the damage has already been done. They got the kill points, and now they're looking for some more blood over here. In terms of what's going on at the top of the leaderboard, we know NRG and 100 Thieves are the teams to watch. TSM, continue to watch out for them as well. But Oxygen Supremacy also within striking distance. We'll see who's going to be walking away with first place in the cash. But congratulations again to Mike and Ike. Very well fought throughout the entire season, and Team Intel as well.
And I mean, now to see how far they can push this, to see what they can do. I know they will have gotten that notification, breathed a big sigh of relief, but with 11 teams left, it's the fight for greatness that has driven so many squads through Series E. We'll see if any of our partnered squads can come up with this last win of the day, where Xedron have been so well positioned, where Vizio are doing so much damage to Tyson on the inside as a knockdown, drag-out fight, and Blitz turning around still manages to cover one of his teammates as Sung ends up taking down C. Davis, and another team enters the fight. Burton is down, and Sung around the outside has very little left to do because there are so many teams coming in. Sentinels are down, and we're to the top 10.
NRG still in this one. 100 Thieves should be as well. Tyson getting dropped. The shots from Nathan, so good with that Havoc. The PK with the purple bolt connecting as well, but no knockdown shields to use here, so they're going to go to the very backhand side and hit the heels. NRG has been putting on a clinic today in the way that they've been performing. Mike and Ike, hats off to you for a great game. The damage has been done. They go out in 9th place, but they will secure their top 4 spot, as we mentioned, into the next season. ESA still in this one. Complexity still in this one. Tons of top teams still looking for first place.
A well-earned power up, and now a power nap maybe, as they've done so much work for Esports Arena. Their fight isn't over yet, turning the corner with the Mastiff as well. We're going to see another team eat it. CLG end up losing 2. They're not done just yet, but only one member stands between us and 7 squads remaining. And Esports Arena on the inside of this building have a lot of say in how this game's going to continue to go. They're going to be able to rotate out alongside the best of them, alongside Exedrin up on this high ground, up towards this northernmost point of Barometer. 7 teams left as Oxygen are the ones that push us down to 7.
Little overkill with the ultimate Dia, I would say, going for the solo, but you know, secure what you need to, and Oxygen going out. Vizio going out as well. Nathan with the Havoc. We haven't really seen much of the Havoc. I think this is the first time we've seen it in the kill feed all day. Interesting that it's being busted out yesterday. It was in there. It's obviously in the crafter, but it had the turbocharger in there. So excited to see one of my favorite weapons being put to use. Dango Bojango running a little low on ammo, but Excedrin's been up here for, it seems like, years now at this point, almost the entire game, as that turbocharged up Havoc from Nathan continues to put in some serious damage. Gildersin dropping Gentrifying. Now 1 player remaining on the tripod squad. They're going to go out in 6th place, one of their best placements of the day, but definitely had themselves a great performance overall. CLG goes down. There's a solo left. Excedrin finally drops down. They get taken out. Nathan continuing to put in work. Complexity over towards the high ground as well. And now it's NRG looking to close things out.
NRG have been our most dominant pro team this season. They're looking for another win, and they should have it in their sights. Sweet takes a bit of damage. We're into the top 2 squads, and they've now got no ult for the Seer. Instead, they've been scanned, and Sweet is sitting here with exposed flesh. His 2 compatriots do cover him as Guild takes to the sky, then dropping right back down. Nathan, staying up there a little bit too long, has ended up losing his own life and will be knocked for the remainder of the game. These last 2 going up against each other. Complexity versus NRG. Who will take it away? Sweet playing footsie with Lux right now. Has this G7 out in that close range. Is able to take the last fight with the help of Nathan and Guild. This is the game for NRG. This has been their season in Series E. The most dominant pro team wins the final game of Season 5.
It's almost like NRG was playing with their food right there. You saw some tap strafes happening from Sweet. They wanted the 2v2 Dia. They're like, you know what? This 3v2, it's too easy for us. Let's just let someone go down on our team, do as much of a disadvantage as possible, straight up scout hip fire. And NRG, like you said, they've been the most dominant team over the last couple of months. They're really showing what their full form is going to be, and they closed things out on a high note, taking 1st place overall.
And it's been the story for not just NRG, but so many squads entering the second half of Season 5 who managed to remix their rosters just in time and show us something that, for a lot of them, we didn't think was possible. To show us a new side of Apex Legends, a new style even, as we managed to shift metas in the middle of this season. With Complexity starting us off on the right foot, eliminating Renegades, we got a high-action last game of the season, and one that our partnered and pro squads alike had to fight hard for.
Yeah, this is when TSM ends up getting dropped by Nerf, then the third party ended up coming through. Great performance from TSM. They started off the day extremely hot. Nerf was holding on to 1st place throughout a majority of this time in terms of the cumulative leaderboard. Excedrin really showcased what they were made of in that final game after starting off extremely slow as well. And we know the storyline between Mike and Ike and how they were able to come through. Dia, you just had a sense, the way that they were playing confidently on that initial third party, that they were just going to continue to do the same thing.
You know, I mean, the Mike and Ike styles you illustrated during, I believe it was this game, where you're like, yeah, it's just how they do things, has really stayed true for them, and I'm glad they've been able to find this style for themselves in the middle of the season, they were thrust into as a 3-man squad and had to make something out of. It's been amazing to watch them work, and they're not the only ones. Midway through these replays, you called it out. Nerf took down TSM. We throw ourselves back to Season 1, Season 2 of Series E, and we're just not saying that. That's not a sentence that's entering. We're going, oh, it's good that Nerf got the opportunity to play up against TSM. This is awesome. And now we're looking at these games and going, this is real serious competition for Tier 1 orgs that could just get taken out in plain 3v3s. It is incredible to watch the growth of these players in a season and the growth of the league over the course of now 5 of them.
This was that final moment for Intel where everything started to collapse. You knew once you saw the Revenant Ghosty coming through, it was like, well, it couldn't get much worse right here, right? You're dealing with everything, all the elements against you. Knockdown shield in the middle of the river. It's literally half a second away from going through, and then Intel going down in 12th spot. Super unfortunate for them. But like you said, they got thrown in the middle of the season, came through, had great growth spurts throughout all of this. Hats off to all of our competitors. Looking forward to see them going through that relegation process. Chin up, you guys put on a great performance throughout all of this. And Dia, absolute blast casting with you. Thank you for bringing the energy. Thank you for bringing the great vibes. It was an absolute honor today.
It has been a joy, as always, to be part of the Series E production and to be alongside UT Squared and the rest of the amazing production crew that we've got here. We're not done just yet, though, because we've still got to hear from the man who is always here every day of Series E. Let's see what Yeso thought about our last day.
I am here every day. It's because Tyler won't let me leave. He makes me sleep on the couch in Studio Blue every night, so I've just been locked in this building for the last couple years. Yeah. Wow, what a finish there. We get to see NRG having an absolute banger game to close out the day. Let's take a look at their stats here as we get ready to wrap up our 5th season here of Series E. Apex Legends, our champion squad here. NRG closing out with a 13-kill whopper of a game. Guild and Sweet right around that 2,000 damage mark. They popped off here to close the day.
Yeah, what was their motive? I mean, it was just to absolutely annihilate the entire competition, right?
I mean, I feel like this is just, like, it isn't even motive. This is just NRG playing their game, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason that they won 3 pro nights in a row before last week. They had won 2 oversights in a row the last couple of weeks. I mean, they're a dominant team. I don't know if it's enough to catch 100 Thieves that was in first place going into that final game, but still, NRG, in my opinion, one of the favorites going into Split 1 for Pro League. They're going to be incredible.
I think it is incredible. I mean, the fact that all these teams come out, we had a stacked lineup tonight, and all 6 games, everybody had something to prove.
It was
so
a banger.
The motivation was there tonight. The casting was phenomenal tonight.
Yes.
It was super hype, and just what a way to end Season 5, man. That was awesome.
I couldn't agree more. Let's take a look at our final Mobile 1 high performance moment here of the season. And it's an earlier fight, and this one very key because we are going to visit our cumulative leaderboard. And this was Mike and I coming into this game with such a small margin for error, right? They had a 3-point lead, and they didn't play like it. They played confident. They played aggressive. And they went after so many teams. I mean, we got to see them chase G2 out way beyond the circle, and they clean up this fight with Razor. And this might just be the fight that secured their spot in Season 6. We still have to check those cumulative standings, but MJ continuing to play aggressive. He has been that huge catalyst for Mike and Ike so much in the back half of the season, playing aggressively on this Horizon pick, and they absolutely clean up Razor.
When this was going on, the casting was phenomenal. It was incredibly hype with the moment. I just felt like Mike and I couldn't miss.
Yes.
I mean, they were hungry for it. They were so hungry for it. It was incredible to see Game 6 when there's something on the line. That's what separates, those who want it as badly and those who, kind of like, I guess don't, or they crumble towards the end or something, It's like, I love the passion. I love it all tonight. It's been fantastic.
I couldn't agree more. Let's take a look at the Mobile 1 leaderboard to see who ended on top of our final pro night of the season before we take care of some very important business. And actually, NRG did it. I forgot. It was the 62, 61, 60 standings at the start. So many numbers for me to keep track of. I forgot NRG was right in the mix there, and that banger sealed the deal big time there as they take that 24-point lead over 100 Thieves. They capture their 4th pro night victory in the last 5 weeks. NRG, in my opinion, the best team in North American Apex Legends.
I mean, that's where you're getting the most amount of content. Right, Series E, we have consistent
big content
and
fans,
the fact that they are getting the same type of play from the same pros that come out every single time.
Yes,
arguably the best that you could possibly do it here at Series E and compete against. And they're playing. They've won 4 out of the last
5. They only lost last week.
I mean,
that was it.
That's epic. They are the hottest team going right now. NRG.
I couldn't agree more. But the most important business we have to take care of right now, Tyler, is our cumulative leaderboard. We went into that final game with that 3-point lead for Mike and Ike. We also had the race for first place, so let's see how things ended up. And there it is. not only does Mike and Ike hold on to their spot going into Season 6 by capturing 4th place in the final night of the season, but we crown a brand new champion in Series E. Team Nerf, and Turns, after 3 seasons of competing, is finally at the top of the mountain here in Series E.
That's epic. And Turns is a guy who dedicates, his life into, making himself better and making Team Nerf better. I think that's epic. Congratulations, fellas. What a night tonight. We had a couple, Nerf had that super just late season run. And to close it out like this, dude, those guys got to be pumped.
Yeah, this is an Excedrin team that has essentially held first place for essentially the entire back half of the season. They have been up there since they took it away from Vizio and Intel, and Nerf with the late season charge, and Mike and Ike doing the same to grab that 4th place spot there from Intel in the final day. And let's set up this race here, right? Intel was in second up until last night when they passed Excedrin, and even through parts of today, Mike and Ike still had ground to make up over Intel, and they both did it when it mattered most.
No, they started out hot. I liked Mike and Ike's aggressive mentality starting out hot, and then, I don't know, maybe just halftime cools down people. People change their game and get a little comfortable playing in Series E sometimes, and so I think the fact that they realized, oh, wait a minute, the score is actually much closer than it needs to be. We've got to pop off this game. And that type of passion, that type of mentality is what's going to keep them in Series E and continue with that paycheck. That's fantastic.
I could not agree more. As we get ready to close out the final night of the season here for Series E Apex Legends, I would like to welcome in all of our staff out there in the Intel production room. That means you, Connie, as well, and the production staff. Everybody get in here. Get in here. I want everybody in this room. Come on in. Get in here. Everybody, come on in.
JC's asking for it. Who's running the show here?
This is my show
Tall
now.
people in back. Tall people in the back.
I know, to the folks at home, you guys get to see you guys get to see a lot of my face. You get to see Tyler quite a bit throughout the season. But I wanted to make sure you folks got to see all the folks responsible week in and week out for putting together everything that Series E is all about. All these wonderful folks here at Esports Arena, everybody who does all the work behind the scenes. I just get to come out here and have fun and yell about video games, but all of these folks around me here are responsible for all of this, so I want you all to give them some love and an incredible amount of credit because they put in so much work. We got Connie here, our technical director.
We got names,
Sky.
everybody. Wow.
Hey, if you guys like all the awesome graphics and all the new little bells and whistles on the broadcast, shout out to Fizzy there in the back.
Yo,
we got
Fizzy,
Shane in the back running Series E like a champ. We got the graphics queen Dreidel over here.
Meme queen.
Yes, and the meme queen as well. Our social media manager Stephanie, our incredible TOs. We got Justin and James over here who doing a ton of great work. Our king of content, made by Phil.
There you go.
Kyle over here. We got Luke, the chief of sales here. I'll get out of the way.
CMO,
We got Luke
CMO.
right here. We got the COO Frank who keeps the lights on in here. DJ Paychecks back here.
CFO pays your paychecks,
Yes.
exactly.
And even some more folks that aren't in here right now. So just my thanks to all these folks for all the work that they do. They make Series E run like it does, and they are why we have been able to build this incredible product. Yes, I don't know why Blaine's not in here, but...
And all of our managers at Walmart stores that continue to support Esports Arena, our 18 locations, all of our staff out there, the fact that we have physical locations and are able to produce amazing content like this is incredible. So we are a two-time company. We have stores, physical locations, and we've got digital content every single day of the week. So don't forget about that and all of our staff out there, you guys. So
yes. And
thanks
don't forget,
so much. Season 5.
Yes,
Man.
Season 5. Don't forget, we are wrapping up Season 2 of Series E Guilty Gear Strive and Series E Halo Infinite the next 2 days. So don't miss out on that. We'll all be back and working the rest of the week. But to all of you who continue to come out and watch and support and enjoy Series E, thank you so much to all of you. For myself, the entire live broadcast crew, and everybody here at Esports Arena, as I had to pull them in for the end of the show. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys again tomorrow. Now Connie's going to run out there and cut the scene. Go, Connie, go, get out there.